This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Masai Mara Game Reserve here in Kenya, and a very warm welcome to all of our schools joining us. So we have Rosemont Forest Elementary, Glenwood Elementary and Greenhern Elementary. So thank you all for joining us today. We hope you're excited as I am to come on this drive, because I'm going to be looking for the fastest cat in the world, a cheetah. So I am in the area where we saw one just this morning. So I'm going to look around and hopefully find the cheetah. Now, I do apologise, I got that elementary wrong. It was Greenhelge Elementary. I do apologise for that, but I'm very happy to have you all with us, and I really want to show you this cheetah and answer all of your questions. So if you have any questions at all throughout this drive, please do tell your teacher and she can pass them on straight to me for me to answer. Jonathan wants to know, where do tigers live? Well, tigers don't actually live here in Africa, so they live more in the Asian countries. There is a type of tiger called the Sumatran tiger from Indonesia as well. That's in a little island called Sumatra. So there are tigers around, just not here in Africa. So we have lions and cheetahs instead, and also some leopards. So we do get a lot of the big cats here, but just not the tigers. So cheetah can be very hard to find because they are the smallest of the big cat. George! Hello, George. You're wondering, how are we able to talk to you all through the computer? Well, it's all for the wonders of technology. So I have a cameraman, Bongay, on the back, and he is filming me, and then it's going to all these other people all the way down in South Africa, and then they are processing it and helping me answer all the questions by sending them to me, and they're getting all of your questions, and then that's being sent right to you where you are right now in school. So it's pretty amazing stuff that this is all happening right now, and that I can talk to you all right now. Isn't that cool, kids? So I'm getting closer to where the cheetah was this morning, so I'm really hoping that she is about. It was a female cheetah by the name of Busara. Ooh, I've actually found something else really cool on the way. I've found some elephants. Oh, and a baby elephant. This is exciting, kids. So I'm just going to get in a good spot so we can see this family of elephants all feeding it so nicely. Who's excited to see some elephants? So here we go. So this is the African elephant. And we can see it down there. There is a little baby, probably less than 1 year old. So much younger than all of you watching along. And we can see it's learning to use its trunk very well. So just like when you were a baby and you had to learn to use your hands and feet, these elephants have to learn to use this silly old trunk of theirs. But this one seems to be picking it up really well. We can see it's grabbing that grass there and feeding it into its mouth. And that is because it is a herbivore. And a herbivore is an animal that eats only plants. So you'll see elephants eating grass, and that is what we call grazing when they eat the grass. And when they eat something out of a tree, it's called browsing. So let's see if you can remember that. So what's it called when they eat the grass? That's right, grazing. And what's it called when they eat from the trees? That's right, browsing. I'm sure you all got that correct. How nice is this though, to spend time with a herd of elephants? And they can get very big as well. They can get up to 6 tons, which is a very heavy animal. Adeline wants to know why elephants have trunks. Well, their trunks are very useful. As you can see, they are on 4 feet right now, so it's almost like having an extra hand for them. So not only can they use it, like I said, to grab food for themselves, but they can also suck water up like a straw and then feed it into their mouth so they can drink, and they can use it to show affection to one another. They will often put their trunks over another one that they like to show a bit of affection. And they can also sense vibrations in the ground as well, which is very cool. So they can tell if there's thunder or lightning all the way off in the distance, because they can feel that vibration through their trunks. So their trunks have a lot of different uses and a lot of muscles as well. Somewhere between 40,000 and 100,000 muscles in that trunk. Mrs. Ranald wants to know why do their tails swing when they eat? Well, that is because they are helping it to get away flies and other annoying bugs that may be around. But it's also a good thing to watch the tail of an elephant, because when they're swinging around like this, you can tell that they're very relaxed. But if it goes stiff and straightens up, well, then that means that they're a bit maybe anxious or a little bit scared or maybe a little bit angry. So if you watch the tail of an elephant, it can actually tell you a bit about how they're feeling. And another thing we can tell if an elephant is maybe a bit excited or a bit stressed is when they stream from their temporal gland. So if we have a look at this elephant just on our right, so keep coming to the right, just this elephant down in this ditch here. We can see on the side of its head, yep, that one there. On the side of its head, it looks like it's crying from behind its eyes, but that isn't the case. It's just secreting something, or it's oozing something out, and that is another sign to tell if they're maybe a little bit stressed or a little bit excited or anything like that. And that is called streaming from the temporal gland. So it's some pretty big words there. This looks to be mostly females here in this group. Isaac wants to know, how do the elephants keep safe? Well, they're a very big animal, and so they can defend themselves, and they also have those tusks on the front of their face there. And these tusks are actually 2 teeth that have grown outwards and have been modified. And this helps them to defend themselves and stay safe against other predators, but also their size is a big help for them. Obviously, you can think if a big elephant like that is running at you, there's not much you're going to be able to do. So they can keep themselves safe by also staying in numbers as well. It's only really the male elephants that you'll see off on their own, and the rest of the time they'll generally be in a herd. Isn't this cool to see? And I'm probably only about 20 metres or 60 feet. Meredith wants to know if elephants bite. No, they don't bite. So they have what are called premolars and molars. And if you think of your own teeth, these are the ones at the back, and they're nice and flat, and are used to grind up their food. And the question wasn't bite, it was do they fight? I'm really sorry for that. Yes, they do fight. So the males especially will fight one another, and that is to get the girl. So they will quite often fight with each other because they want a girlfriend that the other one might want as well. So you'll often see male elephants fighting. and they will use those tusks at the front of their face there. And unfortunately, this can really hurt the other elephants, and sometimes they may even die as a result of it. So it can get pretty crazy out here. Tristan wants to know how many kinds of elephants are there. So we have this elephant here, which is the African elephant, and then there is also the Asian elephant as well, which looks a little bit different and is also a little bit smaller. So they are the elephants that you might see in a country such as Thailand. You can see this one on the left there is doing a bit of a strut. That's because you can really see elephants show emotion. They'll do that strutty walk when they find water. We call it the water walk. It's almost like they're doing a little bit of a dance while they're walking. There is a little bit of water down here in this gully, so hopefully one of them decides to take a drink soon, and I can show you just how they use those trunks. Look at that little one there. You can, if I stay quiet, you can hear all the crunching and snapping as they feed as well. Faith wants to know, do elephants drink water or do they spit water out of their trunks? I think that was the question, and yes, they can do that. You'll see them sometimes on a hot day. They'll spray water out of their trunks all over their bodies to keep them cool. And they will also spray it into their mouths to have a drink as well. Look at this little cutie here. They obviously need to eat a lot of food every day to keep growing. Roman wants to know how well do elephants hear. They have good sense of hearing. All of their senses are actually pretty in tune. They can hear quite well and they can smell quite well. And they are also very good, as I said, at picking up other things in the earth such as vibrations and rumbles. So they're in tune with their senses. And of course they have those big ears on the side as well, which not only will not really help them with their hearing, but more so help them to keep cool. So there are lots of blood vessels in the ears, so when they flap it in the wind, it cools the blood down and then it sends it around their body to keep them cool. Anyway, we are going to keep looking on for this cheetah, and in the meantime, let's go and say hello to Taylor McCurdy down in South Africa.
Hello everybody, look at what we've got. We've got a hornbill, and this is a southern yellow-billed hornbill sitting all the way up in the tree trying to keep nice and cool on this hot day in Africa. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig. There he is. And we're also looking for lots of animals, so I'm very excited for all of you from the schools today to ask lots and lots of questions. Oh, they're still up there. Shall we have another look at them? I thought that they would have flown away by now. The birds are normally very camera shy, and as soon as you put the camera on them, off they go. I thought that maybe they were nesting, but I don't think so. I think that there's one adult with a chick, or at least they're not a chick, a youngster. So the other one is making a lot of noise. It's sort of talking. It's going, and youngsters often do that. So the young birds will constantly make a noise, hope that the parents will feed it. I don't think you'll be able to hear it. It's a little bit soft. And there's quite a few other birds. Can you see it there, Craig? Just off to the left. Just hiding behind the... I'll show you. Like up there. It's just poking its head out. If you keep going in... there we go. Drop down a little bit. Yeah, you've got it. There it is. I'm wondering if this is because there's lots of young birds around at the moment. Maybe it's an adult. Maybe there's a third one in the tree that I can hear making all that noise. Might be sitting up a little bit higher. But I've been seeing lots of fork-tailed drongos with their chicks, their youngsters, teaching them the ways of life. Dylan, no, I wouldn't say these hornbills are mean birds. They're fine. They haven't said anything ugly to me. Craig, have they said anything ugly to you? No, not today, says Craig. No, normally these are very nice birds and they like to live around in camp. Also, these birds become very relaxed around people. So if you go into some wilderness areas in South Africa or anywhere in Africa and they've got hornbills, they're normally one of the types of birds that'll hang around the picnic spots. They're still up there. They're just bouncing around at the moment. And sometimes, and I've done it before, they're very cheeky. They'll come and try and take food from you. They'll jump right up onto the table and go, hey, give me some of your lunch, which is quite naughty. But they're not rude about it. I think the monkeys are more rude. They sort of come through and they'll just snatch something right out of your hand. But they're very cool birds to see. They've got very long beaks as well. I like it when they dig around in dung, in elephant dung, looking for beetles and things to eat. So they eat lots of different types of things. Wonderful. Okay, but let's move on from those birds now. Elijah, I suppose different types of birds have got different lengths of beaks to try and help them feed. So, you know, why a hornbill has that long of a beak, I'm not sure, because it eats a little bit of everything. And sometimes it eats fruit, sometimes it eats insects, and it has a very unique way of eating. The way that it puts its beak, it grabs something and then it throws its food in the air, like if you were to take a grape and throw a grape up and try and catch it with your mouth. That's what they do with their food, and they get it in their mouths every single time. It's super cool to watch. They've had to practice lots and lots and lots. And maybe that big yellow beak, it's like you wearing cool clothes to try and impress your friends. Maybe that big yellow beak like that is also to say, hey man, I'm a hornbill. Look how big my beak is. Look how yellow it is. Maybe something like that too, but who knows. So we're going to go to the south, an area called Chitwa Chitwa. It's another game reserve. And there's a big watering hole there. And if we're lucky, maybe we'll find some elephants there. I know that there will be hippos, maybe crocodiles. So that's what we're planning to do, is we're going to head down in that direction. But we're also still looking for animals along the way. So I'm scanning, hoping that we'll find something else. So that's the idea. But I'm loving all the questions that are coming through. Mackenzie, birds don't really make so much noise. Don't you think that birds say to the other birds, why do those people make so much noise? Because we talk all the time. I think people talk more than lots of the animals. We never stop. I don't ever stop talking. So the birds have to talk to one another to communicate, to find out where they're going. Are they looking for food? You know, maybe they're going to start flying back home overseas because they've had a nice summer holiday and now they have to go back. I don't know. They do lots of talking for lots of different reasons. And then in the mornings and in the evenings, get some birds that are territorial that'll be singing louder than everyone else, telling that this is where they live. Maybe they're looking for a boyfriend. No, maybe the boyfriend, there's a male bird looking for a girlfriend. Singing very nicely, trying to woo her. And there are lots and lots of lion tracks around here this morning. Maybe we bump into them a little bit later as well. It'll be cool to see some lions. But it's not just me and it's not just Patrick driving around. There's one more person you need to meet, and his name is Tristan.
Indeed, it isn't just Taylor and Patrick this afternoon. I'm also out and about helping to try and see what animals we can find and what exciting things there are. Now, there is actually a very beautiful bird that's... Don't fly away, beautiful bird. It has flown away. Hold on, Senzo. Let's get a little bit closer. Now, before we go any further, my name is Tristan, as Taylor said, and I've got Senzo on camera this afternoon. And I'm going to try and show you the bird that I wanted to. It doesn't look as beautiful now because it's in the shade. Do you see it, Senz? Just sitting in this tree on the left-hand side here. So there is a bird which is called a Burchell starling. Now, Burchell starlings, when they're in the shade like this, they look very drab. They look like they're a black coloration and not very pretty at all. And so you might be thinking, why did I say it's a pretty bird? Well, when that bird goes into the sun, you'll find that it's going to start to shine, and it's going to have blues and purples, and it's going to be seriously pretty. And the reason why it shines in the sun is because there is a reflection of light off of their feathers that tricks our eyes into seeing purples and blues. It's not actually the color of the feathers themselves. The feathers themselves, singing us a little song, are actually black, but when the light hits it, you get these reflections back at you, and it's called iridescence. And so quite common in birds. A lot of different birds have iridescent feathers that will allow them to get some sort of coloration. And I'm going to try and find a picture of one for you so that you can see what I'm talking about, because you probably think that I'm raving mad saying that these guys are pretty. So, Faith, do birds fly? Yes, birds do fly. 99% of birds are able to fly. So here's a picture of this Burchell starling. So that one there is quite black and against the light, but these are pictures of them, and you can see that they're actually quite pretty birds. So most birds can fly. There's a few that don't. So things like ostriches, they won't fly because they're too heavy, but otherwise everybody else is pretty much capable of doing it. Some birds don't like flying. They prefer their life on the ground, and those are generally birds that are seed eaters or find food low down, and they'll spend most of their day walking around. And then you'll find there's others like these guys that are very active when it comes to flying, and they'll hunt all kinds of various things. Right, our bird has flown away, so we're going to carry on. Now, the reason we're in this particular area at the moment is because we're looking for a very small little leopard. Well, not very small. I mean, she's over a year old now, but she was hanging around here, or tracks of her was in this area. So I'm going to scratch around and see maybe we can find her. It's quite warm, so I'm going to check all the little water points that are close by in the hope that she's at one of those. In the meantime, though, it sounds like Patrick has managed to find a spotted creature that is not a cheetah.
Well, we haven't found the cheetah, but we have found another spotted animal. This is called the spotted hyena. So it's a lovely looking hyena. We just saw it rolling around in the dirt on the side of the road, just like a dog does when they roll around in something. Hyenas tend to do this a lot as well. And they do look a lot like a dog, don't they? But they are actually not as closely related to dogs as you might think. They're more closely related to mongoose than they are to dogs, funnily enough. Those little four-legged creatures called mongoose. I'm sure you know what they look like. They're sort of like a squirrel in a way. This looks like a very sleepy hyena. It did appear to be a little bit injured, so I don't know what caused the injury, but I'm feeling a bit sad and sorry for it. It had a bit of a cut on its leg, so it must have been getting up to some mischief. See it looking around there. Now, Dylan is asking, what do hyenas eat? Well, Dylan, hyenas are called carnivores. If you remember me talking about the elephants, I said that they are herbivores, and a carnivore is the opposite of a herbivore. So they don't eat plants, they will eat meat. So they will eat something like this antelope here. They tend to eat meat, and they will hunt for their meat as well. And they will also scavenge. So there's two kind of methods of getting meat, and one of them is to hunt them yourself, which hyenas do. And another thing is to scavenge. And what scavenging is when something has already killed the animal and is starting to eat it, and then either they'll leave it or be chased off by another animal, and then they will take it for themselves. So scavenging is a bit easier than hunting, but it also means that you have to risk sometimes getting amongst lions and other big meat eaters, because they are in competition with each other, the lions and the hyenas, because they both eat the same thing. So therefore, they both want it. Damien wants to know, why did the hyena flap its tail? Well, I believe it is because of the bugs again, but much like dogs and cats, they will wave their tail around when they're excited, or in other instances where they might be feeling a little bit upbeat. But on this occasion, I think it's just doing it to keep the bugs off itself. They're a very cool animal, hyenas. If anyone's watched The Lion King, people think they're evil because of that, but they're not evil at all. They're very caring creatures for one another, and they have really interesting social dynamics, and that just means the way that they interact. So they have a complex society, if that kind of makes sense. I know I'm throwing in some bigger words here, but that just means that they have a real range of emotions that they show to each other, and that the way that they interact each other is very human-like in a way. But with hyenas, they are what is called a matriarchal society, and that means that the females are the dominant ones rather than the males. So the female is in charge when it comes to hyenas, which is something that you don't see very much in nature. It's also seen in elephants. So you'll have a matriarch elephant, which is generally the biggest and the oldest and the wisest, and she will be the one that will lead the herd. So that's called matriarchal. I know it's a pretty big word. And the opposite one is patriarchal, which is the man. Duncan wants to know, how fast are hyenas? Well, hyenas can run pretty fast. They can run about 60 to 70 kilometres an hour full speed. So that is about 40 miles per hour. And they can also keep it up for a long time, which is what makes them good hunters. They can keep running for a lot longer than other animals, for really big distances, over miles sometimes. And they can keep it up for a long time, whereas other animals might start to get hot or puffed out. This one, I think, is hiding away a little bit. It's looking a bit sad after its injury, so I think it's just trying to keep safe. Meredith, yes, hyenas do have good hearing. You'll notice that even when they're resting, they're always moving their ears about, making sure that they can hear what's going on around them, because they do have to be on their guard sometimes to make sure there's nothing dangerous around, or even if there is food around. So you'll always see them moving their head and their ears about, trying to hear well. And they're very smart as well. In some ways, they're as smart as some of the monkeys, which is really cool in their problem solving and their ability to work together as a team and solve problems as a team, which again is why they make such good hunters. Speaking of their hearing, they also have good smell as well. We can see this one sniffing around. I wonder what it has detected. Maybe it's some food, or maybe it's even the cheetah in the area. Don't know. Okay, so I'm going to turn around now. There's a lot more animals over this side of me to show you. There's plenty of animals out here in Kenya, and all different types. So on this side we have the carnivore, and on this side I'm going to show you some more herbivores. And what are herbivores? That's right, animals that eat plants. So we have quite a few different herbivores over this side of the road. We have, actually, I'll tell you once I've gotten in position. Well, I am going to stay here with all of these animals, and I will point them out to you in a short amount of time. But first, I hear we have a crocodile to show you all down in South Africa.
Look at what we've got. We've got two very, very big crocodiles. One in the water and one out just getting all the sun, which is nice. The other one doesn't want a suntan today. It's decided to just stay nice and cool and in the water. How epic is that, though? Have any of you ever seen a big Nile crocodile before? Probably not, because if you're from America, you'd be seeing alligators, and they're not the same. They look similar, but this Nile crocodile is one of the biggest species. It is huge. Not quite as big as a saltwater crocodile, but they're still very, very big. And there's two really big ones that live here, and then there's quite a few small ones as well, which is from the babies. And we had quite a few hatch last year too, which was quite nice. So sometimes you have to scan very carefully to see if you can find them. But it's really cool that crocodile's got its mouth open. Hey, now you can see all of their big teeth. I've got lots of them too. Look at all of those big teeth. Sure. So what do you all think a crocodile will eat? Let's get some answers from all of you. So once you think you know what a crocodile would eat, you have to put your hand up, and then I'm sure your teacher will ask you, and then she'll feed, or he will feed through the questions to us. So I look forward to hearing what you all think crocodiles eat out here in Africa. Roman crocodiles can swim very, very well. The same way as an alligator will swim, so that they'll use a big powerful tail, and they'll also use their feet, and they'll pedal with their feet if they can, when they want to go, when they're sort of in the water, and then if they go right down to the bottom, sometimes what you'll see a crocodile is using its feet to pull itself along the bottom. But if they're not, they'll use that big tail. That's the most powerful part of their body, is that big tail. And they'll push it from side to side, and that will propel them through the water really, really quickly. See, look how big it is, look how fat it is. So that's how they move super quickly. But they can run really fast, so they're not only good swimmers, they're also really good runners. Excuse me. That's not the crocodile sneezing, that's just me. So any answers yet to what any of you think crocodiles eat in Africa? No answers. Okay, I'll tell you what crocodiles eat. There we go. Green, hell, you guys all think that crocodiles eat meat and fish. That's exactly it. Crocodiles are not vegetarians, so they don't just like to eat leaves and grass. They will eat meat. So here in this dam, crocodiles like to eat fish. That's one of their favorite things, actually. There's lots and lots of fish in this dam. And then whenever there's a carcass of a hippopotamus or a type of antelope or anything really, they'll feed on that too. And then they'll also go off hunting. So if somebody gets too close to the water's edge, they've got to be very careful. Look, Craig, there's a small crocodile coming up where the Egyptian geese are. That's why they're making so much noise. Look, 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 look. See, look, there's a little crocodile. I wonder if it's trying to get one of the Egyptian geese, the chicks. The little goslings. See, look how cross they are. All the birds are very cross. They're shouting at it, saying, look, everybody, there's a crocodile here. There's a crocodile. Don't be fooled. And Marlena, now you've asked how many teeth does a crocodile have? They've got lots. I'm going to go ahead and say they have well over 70 teeth. And they'll replace those teeth if they kind of loosen. Look, Craig, hang on. The crocodile is hunting. It's definitely trying to... Look. Go, little chicks! Get out of there! Goslings, move quicker! No, it stopped. But just as Craig took the camera off the crocodile ran and chased the Egyptian goose again. But you can see, look, they've put the little goslings in the middle, and all the other birds have come out. They're not very happy. Look at that, that's crazy. There's sandpiper, blacksmith lapwing, Egyptian geese are moving off. Those tiny little birds are 3-banded plovers. They're very unhappy with that little crocodile. So the big crocodile won't necessarily go for the birds, but a small crocodile like that, that's going to be hungry, and it needs to eat regularly to grow big and strong like the adults. And this is a very important time, so they'll eat whatever they can. Small birds, little fish, frogs, terrapins. They'll eat anything. Sometimes a little bird is the easiest. No, Charlize, I'm glad you asked about why the crocodile has its mouth open. Even that little one has got its mouth open now, so it has settled down and stopped chasing after the birds and is really just coming to cool itself down. So by opening their mouth like that, they're able to keep their temperature at a constant. So you and I, we can, and lots of mammal species, we can control, our temperature is controlled automatically, but if you're something like a reptile, you have to rely on getting warmth from the sun or by sitting on the hot sand or a hot rock. And then when it gets too hot, sometimes it's difficult to cool yourselves down. So by opening your mouth, you're able to regulate your temperature like that. So if it's very, very cold, you don't see snakes or lizards or tortoises or crocodiles or alligators really moving around much. They'll just sit there. That's because they haven't got enough warmth to help get energy. So then they're tired and they can't do anything. But on a day like today, they'll have lots and lots of energy. Their batteries will be recharged. So that's why they sort of do that. But it's a nice scene. There's not really lots and lots of things here today. And Joseph, the crocodile stays still because there's no need for it to run around. You won't see many of the animals running around for fun. They don't need to go to the playground. They want to try and conserve. They want to try and save as much energy as they can. So that's why it is just sitting still like that. You only find the little animals really playing quite a bit, and then the adults know better. Because if you use all your energy by running around and playing with one another, then you can't escape. Yes, Dylan, little crocodiles can indeed swim very, very well. They can swim pretty much from as soon as they've hatched out of their eggs, which is very cool. So that's what crocodiles do. Crocodiles are made to live in the water, and they spend most of their time in and around water. They don't really spend too much time on land when they don't have to. But we're going to go and look for elephants now, because that's what we really want to find, is elephants. So we shall continue. Let's see what else we got. Okay, Craig, maybe if we head up to this open plain, we will find elephants. That's what we're hoping for. Did we come and check here this morning? No, we didn't. We didn't check the airstrip, eh? No, we didn't check this area this morning. We checked it yesterday. Okie dokie, we'll carry on. Hopefully we'll find you all some elephants. Off we go to Patrick in Kenya, who's looking at some animals that are still in their pajamas.
Well, look what we have here. A very cool animal. Can anybody tell me what this animal is? All together on 3. 1, 2, 3. A stripy horse. No, it's definitely not a stripy horse. It is a zebra. A very cool animal that we get out here in Kenya. A very cool animal. And do you think it's black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Chloe is asking, what do zebras eat? Well, just like the elephants that we saw before, zebras are herbivores. But they're a little bit different to elephants in that they won't be browsers. So if you remember me talking about browsing and grazing, zebras are grazers. And that means that they eat the grass off the ground, just like they are doing right now. And this helps to keep the grass short and allows a lot of other things to happen because of the shorter grass. And it even helps some other some other grazers who like to eat the shorter grass. It allows them to get into that. Mackenzie, zebras do fight. Again, it is the males, just like with the elephants. So zebra males will set up what they call a harem, and that is pretty much just a male with all of the females with him that he will look after. And I've mixed up bite and fight again. I'm so sorry. Bite, zebras do bite. So that is one way that the males will actually fight one another, is to bite. And if you were to get too close, then you may even get yourself a bite or a kick from a zebra. They have big teeth in their mouth as well that they use to chew up the grass, and they're quite strong and powerful. So they do give a pretty nasty bite, but they don't bite anything unless they have a reason to bite as well. And we have plenty of other different herbivores all around us right now. So we look here. So to the left, that's a waterbuck. The one with white on its belly is a Thompson's gazelle. And to the right here is a herd of impala, which are a very cool type of antelope. And an antelope is a deer-looking animal. It's not deer, but it's the deer-looking animals, but they have horns instead of antlers. So if you think of those big antlers that the deers have, they are different to these horns here. And then right at the back there, we also have topi, which is another type of antelope. So they are related to these impala, and they are called topi, T-O-P-I. It's a fun word to say, isn't it? Topi. Let me see if there's any other ones. No, that's all, but it's a lot of different types of herbivores here, all feeding on the nutritious grass. Harriana is asking about the zebras, and she wants to know, where do they have black stripes? Well, that's a really good question, Harriana. No one knows for sure. There are a few guesses as to why they do. Some think it's for camouflage. So if they're standing all together, it's very hard to distinguish one from another. So it can make it hard for a predator to see which one is which and make it hard to attack. And there's another one that's a little bit more complex, but I'll try to explain it. So black absorbs heat, the colour black, and white makes is cooler. And so when you have this interaction between cool air and warm air, it starts to create a bit of a circulation of air, which might help to keep the animal cool. Now, again, these are guesses. These aren't definite answers why, but no one really knows 100% for sure why they have their stripes. And actually, there is one more guess as well. Some people think that it might also be a way to keep flies off them, because of the way that flies see. It might stop them from landing on them, and other bugs as well. So there's, a few different reasons why people think that zebras have stripes. Sophia, again, these zebras are waving their tails to keep those nasty and annoying bugs away. So also, their bottom is a very sensitive area, and so they want to protect that as much as they can. And by constantly flicking their tail from side to side, they're always defending their rear end. And you'll see it all the time in zebras. And they have those big bellies because of the way that they eat their food. Chloe wants to know, what is the zebra's enemy? Oh, we've got one rolling around in the dust just to our right. Isn't this funny? Sorry, Chloe, I'll get back to your question in a second, but this is something we often see zebras do, rolling around in the dirt. Don't they look a little bit silly? But Chloe, what is the enemy of the zebra? Well, they will be eaten by lions mostly. So lions are the biggest enemy of zebra, and they are the ones that like to eat them the most. And because they are a big animal, the zebras, they need a lot of lions to take them down. And big, powerful lions. And that is why pretty much only the lions are the ones that can take them down, unless they're really small. So the biggest enemy of the zebras are the lions. And that is because lions are carnivores, which is the meat eaters, just like the hyena I was showing you. And, oh, there we go. We've got one final herbivore here to show you all, the buffalo. So this is the African buffalo. Alrighty, well, that was a fun little drive. We saw plenty of different animals, all of those herbivores and those carnivores. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all learned a lot and had as much fun as I did. So we hope to see you all in another school session here on Safari Live. See you all next time. Welcome everybody to this sunset safari. My name is Patrick. Joining me on camera is Bongay, and we are now doing the big kids drive. So we are here in the Masai Mara Game Reserve of Kenya. And if you have any questions or comments, please use the hashtag SafariLive and the YouTube chat stream. So I was looking for the cheetah that we saw, Busara, the female cheetah. We had her this morning, and Lauren was with her earlier, and there was an unsuccessful hunt that she saw. This was about 1 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon. And then Bongay has said that he has been told that there was a successful hunt somewhere in between then and now, and that she is on a kill. But where that kill was, we are not sure. So we're just looking around at the area and hoping we can pick back up on Busara. Can change my tone back now after the kids drive. They're so fun, the kids drives. Absolutely love it. Connecting the younger next generation with nature. So epic. So we are back down in this area where I've been spending the last few days, and it's been proven to be quite fruitful. Well, I will start my search, ask around, and hopefully pick back up on this cheetah. In the meantime, I believe Tristan is also searching down in Juma.
Well, Pat, you're looking for your cheetahs, and we are still looking for our little leopard. No sign of any tracks at this stage. She was seen very briefly this morning, so we're talking about little Kalamba. She was seen briefly crossing through quite a thick area, and we went and had a look. No tracks, but we've had lots and lots of birds shouting, and I initially thought maybe it could be for the Wahlberg's eagles that live in this area, but we can't find any sign of the eagles anywhere. So I think maybe it's her somewhere down in a drainage section, but the grass is so long and the bush so thick and she's so dainty that, you know, it would be, unless she's sitting up on something, a termite mound or a tree, we're going to have to drive on top of her to be able to actually see her. The grass is just that long, so it's a bit tricky. The good thing is that it's a fairly warm afternoon, which means the water at some point is going to be a priority for her, and so hopefully she'll start heading to a water point, and that will mean that she'll either, there's more birds to alarm, or there's quite a few impalas and nyalas hanging around, and so if she moves, one of them can maybe give, and that'll get us to where she is. But no tracks that we can see, and the area that she went towards is just, I mean, it's impossible really, unless, like I say, she's up on a mound or something like that. You won't find tracks of her in that block either, especially not after the rain. Oh, hello little tortoise. You're not the leopard we're looking for, but you're little, so we'll show you off. It's got this super rounded shell, so I'm just going to try and get off to the side here so that Senzo can get it on camera. Hopefully it doesn't disappear too fast. There it goes. It's running away into the long grass. Hello, little one. tiny little tortoise. You can see the blades of grass will give you a sort of scale of how big that one is. It is absolutely tiny. It would probably fit on the palm of my hand, but like I say, it's got a super rounded shell. Generally, when they're this age, their shell isn't quite as round as that, and you can see how quickly they move off. Isn't that cute? Very, very cool. There you can see the carrot seed grass. It gives you an idea. You can even see the seeds of carrot seed. It's a very, very small little tortoise, that, and I'm glad that I saw it before our very large tires went anywhere near its little body, because that would have been a disaster and a very, very sad thought. So let's rather not dwell on that. But goodbye, little tortoise. Alder, yes, very cute. They are cute when they're that age. I always like little tortoises. Sometimes you can find them smaller than that. I mean, that's fairly new by most standards, but you can get ones that are tiny, that fit like this on your hand, and they're super, super cute. It depends also which species you're talking about, because I find these little leopard tortoises much cuter than the Spiex hingeback tortoise. I don't know why. These guys have got more kind of vibrant shells and color to them. And the sort of dome shell makes me think that they're like little ladybugs that are running around with a little tortoise face. I don't know why I think that, but it's the way it kind of processes in my mind. But anyway, I mean, we hopefully going to find the bigger version of that, except not a reptile or mammal, at some point. The nice thing is also, at least we've got a bit of sunshine, not raining on us, which means no roofs, and so we can do birding if it's quiet, which will be quite nice. So Lorax, the shell is much softer as they get older, so that shell is going to thicken. So it is a lot softer, and they are far more vulnerable to being eaten. So they're going to be eaten by even birds at that size. So you'll find things like a saddle-billed stork or a marabou stork. They actually wouldn't be adverse to trying to grab those ones, these little dwarf mongoose. It's all the small things on this road at this stage. There's some dwarf mongoose that are hiding out in the shade of the road. Well, there's a kind of a tree that's shading a certain section of the road, and there you can see one of them. There were quite a few that ran across the road, and I'm hoping they'll come back out again, because they are quite curious little creatures. There we go. There's some that are coming out. They generally are very curious and want to actually see what's going on, and so they'll creep out and they'll start looking, and then once one realizes there's nothing really to worry about, then the next one, and so you get a whole lot of them that will end up playing around on the road. That is still not 100% convinced by our presence, by the way that one just crossed the road at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And you can see this one is just watching, just to make sure that it can alarm call if potentially we were a threat and we came closer. It can tell everybody don't come out. There's one that's popped out right close to us. You see a sense that's just crossed the road now as well. So there's one that's a lot closer to where we are, and they'll then give a shout, and everybody can go and disappear in the various grass areas and into little burrows and those kind of things. But watching dwarf mongoose is always fun, because they really are cute little things, and you can see there's a lot more than you actually think. Just because there's one on the road doesn't mean there isn't others around. Generally is lots and lots and lots of them, and quite a lot of chaos, really. And you can see with the grass being as long as it is, how difficult it is to see animals. As soon as they cross the road, you've got no chance. And so even something the size of Columbo, which obviously is a lot bigger than a dwarf mongoose, even they are going to disappear very quickly. So you've got no price. Unless these guys are on the road, you've got no chance of seeing them. But a lot of you are oohing and ahhing at the cute factor. They are very cute. I love it when they run around like little hooligans and chase each other and play and wrestle. And Taylor seems to have the best luck with these guys in terms of their sort of antics. I mean, obviously she's got the famous one where we had the fainting mongoose, but she's had quite a few others where they've been quite fun and kind of messing around and wrestling. And I think Jamie's also had quite a few nice sightings of them playing and doing their thing. But I'm surprised that some of them that crossed are starting to come back out again. They generally like to move on the roads because also for them it's safer. You can imagine at this time of the day, with it being still quite warm, snakes will be fairly active, and so moving around in the grass can be potentially quite dangerous. Also, birds of prey will be quite active now, and so, they'll have a little sort of tough time with them. So they like to kind of be more on the grass, on the road sections where they can actually see what's going on, and they can still find food along these road edges. There's still various little insects and scorpions and things that they can dig out of the road surface and find the food that they need. They've all disappeared now. There's a few little holes there that I can see that they must have gone into. So what we're going to do, I think, is I'm going to just do one more loop past that waterhole because those birds were shouting so much. Maybe we just didn't time it right. And so while we keep scratching and seeing if little Columba will show her face, let's send you back across to Taylor and see what her plan is for the rest of the afternoon.
Hello everybody, Craig and I are having an argument. We're not having an argument. We're still looking for elephants, but unfortunately we're not having much luck. I haven't even seen a fresh elephant track. Craig, I'm being double blinded right now. First by the sun and then this bad boy. How come you double blinding me today? Craig's trying to put it on even brighter now, on purpose. Everyone thinks Craig is so sweet and nice and soft-spoken. You don't know the real Craig like I do. Okay, where to next, Craig? Okay, so we didn't have luck there. Maybe we'll get them crossing Gari Main. I feel like whenever I find elephants, they're forever crossing Gari Main. Justin, also, if you see any elephants, please let us know. If Nina, if you can tell him that. It's an instruction. Also, Tristan can't have all the luck with all the animals. I mean, he magicians leopards from, like, nowhere. Like, if he wanted to, he could just say, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna 3 times in the mirror, and then he would appear on Duma. So that's the reason why Hosanna is not back here, is because Tristan hasn't done that yet. So you can't have luck with leopards and mongoose. I have the luck with a mongoose because that's the only animal that actually seems to like me. But anyways, we're going to keep searching for elephants and hopefully we'll find them. Let's go to Patrick now in the Mara with some lions, and they're probably sleeping.
Well, more kitty cats here. So we didn't manage to find Busara. She was lost somewhere in this area after that kill this morning. But we have found some other big cats here. This lion that seems to be eyeing off this cattle egret over here. Getting a good look at it. I wonder if it's going to chase it. I don't think it will, but it would be quite entertaining if it did. There it is there, making a very daring move by coming over. Seems to be hunting there. It might not be lions hunting, but we do have a little bit of a hunt in a way. And the lion has definitely lost interest. So as to the pride, we are still not sure which one this is. It's a bit hard to say. We are sort of close to Olololo territory, but I haven't got to see the full pride yet. I remember when I was with them this morning, there was a lot of young males, and that is what made me think it might be the Olololo pride, but we can't confidently say right now which one it is. So we have this lone one here, and then there is about 3 or 4 behind me, but there is quite a few more cars at that sighting there. So I thought I'd spread it out a little bit and just come and chill out with this loner over here. So it is getting quite overcast right now. It's not looking stormy like it has some other nights, but it is starting to get dark and grey. So prime kind of conditions and time now for lions to start to get on the move for the night and perhaps go out and hunt. So I think I'll stay with them for a while just in case that happens. And hopefully I can continue my good luck after last night stumbling across the cubs. I'm hoping I can back it up with a hunt tonight. Wouldn't that be epic? Rosalind wants to know, how do lions carry their cubs? Well, just like a... I'm sorry, I just went to compare a lion to a lion. Silly me, I was just about to say, just like a lion, they will carry them in their mouths. Yes, so they would carry cubs in their mouths. They're obviously quite gentle about it, as to not inflict pain onto the cubs, but you'll see them when they're quite young being carried around by the mother in the mouth. And then, of course, once they are old enough to start walking and running around, then they can just move with the mother. But unfortunately, lost cubs is a common thing amongst lions. Well, not a common thing, but it does happen where lions will leave their cubs and unfortunately not be able to ever find them again. That's just one of the risks of being a predator, of being a carnivore and having to go out and hunt. With, of course, grazers and browsers and herbivores, it's pretty easy to bring a young one along with you when you do have all of this grass and all of these trees around you. They can always be by your side no matter what you're doing. But when a young little cub comes along on a hunt, it's just not going to work, so they have to leave them behind. Which is just like exactly what we saw happen last night. So when I caught up with the Owinos, they did just finish up a hunt and then went back to the den, and out came those little cubs. So last night is a perfect example of what I was getting at there. Looks like there's a Franklin that's being eyed off by this lion now as well. It's in the grass. There's a lot of brave birds around at the moment. And as I kind of touched on this morning, this area is actually full of food. If anyone was with us for the school drive, you would have seen just the amount of different herbivores that they were hanging around here. And so a good variety for the lions, all from buffalo to zebra down to impala. So something for all ages, all pride sizes. Still looking at this egret. Lions have been known to hunt birds, especially single lions. Romit is asking, what is my favourite pride now? Well, that's a really good question. After last night, the Owinos definitely hold a special place in my heart. I absolutely love the sausage tree pride, but they have caused a lot of frustration for me in my time here in the Mara. So that kind of puts them down a rank or two. And then also the Olololos were the very first pride that I got to know here in the Mara, and one I spent a lot of time with last time I was here in November. So they are also up there. So, let's say top three is Owinos, Olololos, then sausages. Of course, all of those prides have cubs right now, which is very great to see. But it actually got me thinking a bit, because the Olololo pride is already quite large and they're bringing in a lot more cubs, and there's a lot of young males as well. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a bit of a breakaway potentially. Now, Jake is wondering, where is the rest of the pride? Well, as I said, there's about 3 that I can see from here behind us. And as for the rest of them, well, that's anyone's guess. When we left them this morning, they were kind of in these thickets just behind the lion here. So we zoom out. So kind of where that vehicle is now is just where we left them this morning, and then they kind of went into the bushes. So there may still be a few stragglers in there, but the other 3 that I can see are literally right behind us. So I will make my way over there in due time, but there's just a lot of vehicles here and I want to respect the animals. So we'll stay clear for now and just chill out with this one here. Oh, looks like it's getting up anyway. Now it's up, I can see it looks to be a lioness. Roy, yes, this cat is very big and it's actually quite small for a lion. So this is a small lioness here. I can see that now that's got it up and started moving about. And yes, they can get much bigger though. So if I had to guess, I would say that this one would be about 90 to 100 kilos. And a nice male can easily add an extra 50 kilograms or 100 pounds or so onto that. And sorry, so 100 kilograms is about 200 pounds. Oh, coming up onto a termite mound, as we so often see lions do as it gets a bit cooler. I'm not actually sure if this is correct, but I can only assume that it is because of the internal temperatures of a termite mound being warmer than the other surrounding environments. And also for a bit of a better vantage point as well. Something we observe, in a lot of animals. Cool, over to our right, we have a hippo that's decided to show up. Sorry for my head there. Very cool. I was just kind of scanning the horizon and up pops another hippo. Very, very cool. The HIPPO hippopotamus took one look and tried to swallow us. So it must have been wallowing in that little muddy depression. We do apologise for the vehicle in front of us there. We are out here, as I said, with quite a few others in this lion sighting. So we just have to make do with it, which is fine. So I dare say this one would be going out to do a bit of grazing now. Actually, we can already see that head down in the grass. Hippos are very well known to be grazers. And I've actually read the other day of hippos eating insects and also carrion in some extreme circumstances. So that really was quite an interesting thing to read. I highly, highly doubt this is a frequent thing and possibly could even be accidental, but apparently it has been observed, which is quite interesting indeed. Of course, hippos are probably one of the most feared animals out here. I'll see most people are quite fine getting close up to lions, but put a hippo in reaching distance of anyone, and they will be scared, me included. They're a fearsome creature, a barreling creature, and can run quite fast for their size. So we still got eyes on the lions, and the other three are over here. Rangi saying it's a lovely view of the hippo. Yes, it is. It's awesome to always see them. It's always awesome to see them out of the water. It's not something we often see. I would say probably 90% of the hippo sightings I've seen, they have been in the water, maybe even more than that. So when seeing one out of the water from a safe distance is definitely a special thing. Willie is asking, why do hippos fan their tail when they poop? Well, that's a great question, Willie. It is because you'll see dominant males do it and males do it around females, and it's sort of like scent marking. Just like when you see, for example, a leopard after they urinate and they scratch the ground to spread it around a bit. It's pretty much the same thing with hippos. So it's pretty disgusting. It's not really the thing I would use to attract females and warn others, but it works for them. So that is why they spray their poop around with their tail. Very, very classy topic, isn't it? Oh, you cutie. You beautiful girl. Well, continuing on, let's go down to Juma, where Taylor has a four-legged creature of a completely different sort than a lion.
So sad. We had probably one of the better squirrel sightings I've had in a very, very long time. We had it for quite a few minutes, actually, but it's now run off. It was a young squirrel. I was eating a marula nut, and it basically ate all of the flesh around marula nut, and then it ate the little seed in the middle, and then it cleaned its feet. It was very cool to sit and watch. If Pradeep, my young friend, was watching, he'd be very, very happy to have seen a squirrel, because I don't sit still for very long. I'm also covered in spider webs. So where we've been driving, we've been getting spider webs. Have you noticed that, Craig? Maybe there's a couple, hey? It could even be the ones that we had this morning. I tried to get rid of as many as I could, but it didn't really work. Still searching for elephants, but obviously stopping for little small things in between. But now we've got nothing. This seems to always happen to me. Whenever anybody links to me, my content just disappears all the time. We have great sightings, though. We seem to see lots of wonderful goodies out here. So I thought that we were going to have at least some elephants coming in and out today, going to Chitwa Dam. But I suppose with there being so much water around, there's no need for them to come down to the dam like they used to do in dry season. They can kind of just stop at it any old little puddle and drink from that, or splash themselves with mud from that, which makes it a little bit more tricky to try and find them. Haven't even seen a big bull. Oh well, we'll keep trying. We're still on Chitwa. We're checking every little nook and cranny for an elephant. Can you see the cuckoo, Craig? Yeah, right up top, green, on top of the buffalo thorn, yeah. Look at that. Who can tell me what cuckoo that is? Anybody have any idea? I'm going to wait for your answers. Hashtag SafariLive. How cool is that, though? It's amazing to actually see it sitting there like that. Listen to the call. So there are only 2 green cuckoos like this. It's going to be one or the other. That call should give it away very, very easily. Can be a bit tricky when they don't call, but there's some other differences too. Look at the eye color. Also the way that it's perched itself right at the top of the tree. Cuckoos like to do that. Except if you're an African cuckoo, then you tend to spend some time sort of in the mid-level trees and shrubs. But what a beautiful view. Ah, close, Roshni, but it is not the Deirdre's cuckoo. This is, in fact, the class's cuckoo. And the reason how you could tell the difference is literally just by the call. So, a Deirdre's cuckoo. I have to play the call because I can't make a Deirdre's cuckoo sound. Oh, sorry, now I have to put my phone in. As soon as I took my phone off of aeroplane mode, ding, and then volume so you could hear the call. There's a Deirdre's cuckoo. So there we go, Roshni. So you can hear that that was not the Deirdre's cuckoo. So that was the call. So this is the class's cuckoo. Also, Deirdre's cuckoo has got a red eye and a fair amount of barring just sort of on the side of the breast too. The females can have a little bit too. They're not as spectacular in color. They don't have that lovely glossy green sheen. Very nice. I can't actually remember when I actually had a sighting of a class's cuckoo. Been hearing them quite a bit, but it's been quite a long time since I've actually been able to see one. Very cool. Now the hosts of this species is normally buttises, so yeah, it'd probably be a chin spot buttis, maybe some of the warblers, and probably have a couple of other hosts as well. Maybe sunbirds too. I'm not sure which sunbirds. But very cool. And there's something that I've never ever seen before, is I've never seen the sort of host species of a cuckoo feeding a young cuckoo before. That's one of my dream sightings to kind of have. I've seen lots and lots of pictures, but sadly I have not been lucky enough to experience that. I wonder what that vehicle's starting and stopping for. You hear that, Craig? I'm not sure if they... Hang on, let's go and have a look, Craig, don't you think? Because they're starting and stopping. There's a vehicle that's just behind us. Oh, Nina, no, you've told me that you'd like to come to Tristan, but I'm not Tristan, I'm still Taylor. What I will do, though, is probably head to just see what that vehicle is doing, because it's starting and stopping the entire time. I don't know, what does copy that mean? Do you want me to still link to Tristan? Let's just get a clear instruction before we make our move. Because also I'm not sure. That car sounds like it's off-roading now, so I don't know where it's going to. Maybe it's seen some elephants. Wonderful. Okay, we will go and have a look at what the other vehicle is doing. Off you go to Tristan in the meantime to see if he's actually found young Tlalamba.
well, hopefully it will be something interesting, Taylor. And I'm pretty impressed that Taylor got a classes cookie. That's very, very cool. I'm sure, James, you'll be very happy. Not James, our presenter, James Richard. You've been looking for a classes cookie for ages. I'm not sure if this is the first one this summer, but I certainly haven't seen many of them at all or heard many of them over the course of the last few months. So that's a really nice bird to get, and difficult to get on camera as well. So well done, Taylor. And like I say, hopefully that other vehicle will indicate something nice. Although I just spoke to somebody now, they're saying it's very, very quiet for them. They said most of the things that have been seen are in the western side. Tiani apparently is around, and I think Moya might have been seen. I think it was Moya, they said. I can't remember now. Shadilu, they don't know where she is. Apparently she left the cubs and they haven't found her. They just got trucks going away from where the cubs generally are kept. So they don't know where she is. And then there's apparently lions on that side. And so lots happening on the west, but very little apparently on the eastern side, which means that not too much of an interest on the west, unless of course it's close to the boundary, which doesn't sound like anything is. So we're still trying to kind of look for Tlalamba. I think I'm on loop number 44 around the same block. Still nothing's really changed. No more alarm calls, no tracks to speak of, but it's just a matter of time, because if we haven't found anything coming out of this area, she must still be somewhere inside here. Yeah, it's quite possible I've missed the track, so the roads are quite hard at the moment. But if she's not, then she's going to pop out at some point. She's going to, you know, try and kind of take a little walk around, maybe get, like I say, water, given it's a warmish afternoon. So it'll be worth just keep kind of persevering and just loop and loop and loop until such time as something comes out. There's not really much else happening from the sounds of things. There's not many vehicles in Buffelshoek or Torchwood today, but there hasn't been a single animal called in on the radio on the northern kind of sector, which is Torchwood, Buffelshoek and Djuma. So it's not like they were missing out on anything by doing loops here, and I feel like if we just persevere at some point, we're going to get it right, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe we won't, but anyway, it's okay. It's not the worst area to drive around in. At least it's pretty around the Mulwati and Leadwood and Mamba and Twin Dams area, so hopefully we'll get lucky at some point. What I might do now is just quickly shoot up towards Gwari Pan, just in case she's walked most of the day and has gone up that way. She likes Gwari Pan, little Tlalamba, but she's been spending so much time down this side that I don't think she would do it. But I'll just go up there and have a little scratch quickly and then come down Cheetah Cut Line just to make sure she hasn't crossed into Torchwood. But while we do that, let's send you back up to Pat, who's having a far better time of it up in the Mara than what we are down here in South Africa.
Well, these cats are flat for the time being. They are just behind me, so I am just checking over every now and again, but I thought this is too awesome not to keep with. It's not often that we get to watch hippos graze, and it's not often, as I said, that we get to see them out of the water, so I thought we could all share this moment. It's very cool. I'm very happy and at peace right now. We're probably about, just under 100 metres, so just a bit under 300 feet from this hippo, but it doesn't seem fazed by us at all. You have to be quite careful around hippos because they can be quite skittish. If you spook them or approach them too quickly, they don't tend to like it too much. But this one is very preoccupied right now, munching away there, contributing to its massive barrel-like body. Look at that thing. I've got the gift of one-liners and you've got the curse of curves. Another song lyric there for you all. I think it's becoming my thing, isn't it? The song lyrics in nature. Maybe I should start putting them into my Instagram posts, my animal photos. All the little song lyrics that pop up in my head whilst I'm out here. Young wants to know how far away from the waterhole is this hippo. Well, when we first saw it, it was right in this little mud wallow here, just where this egret is to our right. So that's only probably about the same, or a bit less than we are away from it. So probably about 50 metres are about 150 feet. And there is also a river to our left as well, a little body of water. So there's plenty of water around for this hippo, where it will spend most of its day and do what it's doing now, more towards the night time when it's cooler and darker. Hippopotamus, the scientific name of hippopotamus is actually one of the more forgiving scientific names or Latin names, because they can be very difficult to remember. But hippopotamus amphibius, very easy to remember. A, because their first name is their the genus name is their common name, and secondly, because they live kind of an amphibious lifestyle, if you want to think of it that way, a pretty full-on aquatic lifestyle. So hippopotamus amphibius, very easy to remember. Of course, back in the day, they used to be in circuses. Unfortunately, because of their blood sweat, you would observe a sign saying, "Come see the hippo sweat blood." But this is not actually the case. It's, I think, what's it called? It's a type of acid that they secrete. Hipposudoric acid, I want to say. Anyway, it's a thing that they secrete that helps protect them from the sun. They're not actually sweating blood. Now, we had a question here from Lily. Now, Lily wanted to know, how fast can a hippo run? Well, a hippo can run at kind of about 20 or so miles per hour, so 30 to 35 kilometres an hour, which is pretty fast for such a large animal. It could keep up with a lot of humans running. I can't remember the top speed of Usain Bolt, but I think that's pretty close to what a hippo can run. And I have heard some horror stories of them outrunning humans and impaling them on those teeth, which I think would be absolutely horrendous. Munch, munch, munch. This one obviously not too fussed about what it's consuming. It's actually been heftily grazing this whole time. Dora wants to know, will a hippo prefer a certain type of grass? Well, not... excuse me, sorry. That are more so bulk grazers than a selective grazer. And what a bulk grazer is the ones that will kind of just take a mouthful of whatever is on the ground. So they're a lot less selective about what they eat. You can see them taking big mouthfuls there, chomping away, using those teeth. Penguin on Safari wants to know whether hippos are related to cows or buffaloes. Well, I'm not sure how closely related they are, but it would be a fair distance away, as hippos are more related to aquatic animals rather than land animals. But they are both ungulates, so there is that sort of relatedness there. Very awesome sight. We can kind of see that blood sweat, can't we? Roshni wants to know whether dugong are part of the hippo family. No, they're not part of the same family, but they are pretty closely related. So the hippos, if you actually even look at the face of a hippo, they do kind of resemble a dugong or a manatee. Of course, we do get the dugongs up north in Australia. Unfortunately, I haven't got to spend any time with them. Some people may know them as sea cows. That's right, that's what some people call them. But anyway, they are of the family Dugongidae anyway, which is not the hippo's family. The hippo's family is the No, I'm not good tonight, am I? Hippopotamuses is the family of hippopotamus. So they are not from the same family. But they are that real link between aquatic and terrestrial life, aren't they? Well, these cats are still flat, and this hippo is still grazing, so I'm going to stay right where I am. But in the meantime, I will send you to Taylor McCurdy in South Africa, who is still searching.
Hey everybody, I'm on my mobile device because I was looking at Twitter. I'm so excited. I didn't realize that so many of you hadn't seen a Klaas's cuckoo before. I don't know why I thought we put it on camera a couple of times. I thought Brent had showed you at least 37 of them. Shall we play another game of birds? We're going to have a birding afternoon. No, come back! Oh, it's gone, Craig, into the long grass. Anyways, so James Richard, it was 249 for you. And then who else have I got you? Debbie from Vancouver. You got 251. How exciting. So it's big hits on the bird list for James Richard and Debbie Vancouver. And for all of the rest of you, congratulations. Congratulations. Very nice. Super exciting. Roshni, Klaas's cuckoos, they aren't rare. It's just difficult to get them on camera like the rest of the cuckoos because they seem to be quite shy. So you hear them calling all the time, non-stop. But try and find one. It's hard. So, I mean, I've seen my fair share of Klaas's cuckoos. Tristan probably seen a whole bunch too. I would say an African emerald cuckoo is definitely sort of a rarer spot than a Klaas's cuckoo, just because they're fairly common. I mean, you see them in gardens in South Africa all the time. Used to see a lot of Dedrick's cuckoo down in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, so like on the southeast coast, lots and lots of Dedrick's cuckoos. And then I wish my mobile device would work quickly or properly, because I was trying to Google, and I didn't bring my Sri Lankan bird book with me. I didn't. No, it's not in here. But there's a really cool cuckoo that I saw in Sri Lanka. I can't remember if it was the greater cuckoo. I will have to get the name. I'll try and share a picture. That thing was a cuckoo on steroids. It was huge, firstly. Okay, it wasn't that big. Craig said the size of a Labrador is what he got from when I was telling him the story about this cuckoo. And it was really epic because it was sort of sitting in the middle of the tree, and I was like, what's that? What's that? And I thought maybe at first it was a white-rumped shama. Then it wasn't a white-rumped shama. It was this massive cuckoo. So maybe someone can help me. I have to wait until I get better internet connection, and then I'll be able to search the web for the actual name. But it had browns and black and white. It was like 3 or 4 different colors. I'm sure it was a greater cuckoo. I don't know. It was amazing though. It was one of the coolest looking birds that I have ever seen. Also, I wish I had a picture to show you. I have showed you a picture of the rack-tailed drongo, because that was insane too. And then if you look up a picture of a tree swift, what a funny looking bird. That's also quite cool. So yeah. Actually, the birds in Sri Lanka were super colorful, as were all the barbets. Coppersmith barbets were super colorful. Laura, I think the rarest bird that I've seen in June is probably going to be the southern ground hornbill in terms of like rarity. Otherwise, ones that are not particularly common, not necessarily rare, something like a secretary bird, but it wasn't on Juma, it was actually on Cheetah Plains I got to see. They're around, they just don't, they're like big open grassy areas. Craig, what's the rarest bird that you've seen in Juma? I'm trying to think. The rarest. Someone will have to help me. Someone remind me. Someone will tell me what the rarest bird is that I've seen, because I forget all these things. But you guys remind me, because you've got much better memory than I do. Well, we're going to continue the birding at this rate and maybe look for some more cuckoos, maybe get an African cuckoo. Pat's still with the hippos, and now it's doing a little bird of a Wednesday roll around.
Still here, the hippo has come back from its little feeding session, back to its little water hole here. And it seems to be basking very peacefully there now. People often think because hippos are related to the cetaceans, which is the marine mammals such as your dolphins and whales and porpoises, that they are good swimmers, and also because they spend so much time in water, they're good swimmers. This is definitely not the case. They're a very heavy animal, and although they do have a lot of fat in their body, they are still not very buoyant at all and will sink. And so if you ever see hippopotamus in water, then they're generally either standing on the bottom or kind of bobbing off the bottom. So they don't actually swim, they'll kind of kick off the bottom and then kind of try and propel themselves forward a little bit and just continue this. So they're actually not good swimmers despite their close relatedness to the marine mammals, the cetaceans. So very interesting stuff. They do spend so much time in water though. Most of their days. There's actually a great spot called the Hippo Pools, which I'm sure some of our regular viewers would know quite well. And that's a great spot to sit and observe hippos. There's heaps there at most days. Especially this time of year when the river is flowing. There's a lot of water around here in the Mara, only to be increased though. We had lunch with the hyena research team today and they were telling us that it hasn't even really started to rain yet. Lauren and I were a bit taken aback by that. It's been very wet, although the last couple of days have been pretty good. Quite warm and quite sunny, which would only prompt this hippo to spend more time in water. So egret still hanging around, hoping maybe that the hippo might stir something up in the water and send it its way. Maybe a little invertebrate. Mina Moo wants to know, do egrets eat other birds? Well, not that I have heard of, but they are a predator. I haven't heard of them eating smaller birds though, so I haven't read it as being part of their diet anyway. Of course, using that long neck and beak to really dart out and catch its prey. See a lot of water birds actually with this adaptation, that long neck. April is saying that this is an odd couple. It is. Nature produces quite a lot of odd couples, doesn't it? But this hippo is obviously very relaxed around the egret, and likewise. I don't think they're really bothering each other at all. They don't have any reason to. They both have very different diets, and therefore there's no real competition right now. The egret doesn't really want to be in the water, the hippo doesn't really want to be on land, so they're just enjoying each other's company. Well, that's what I like to think anyway. To be completely honest, they probably just don't even acknowledge one another and are going out about their own business. So it looks like the lioness has moved off of the termite mound now and is standing in the grass. Profestian, I apologise if I pronounced that wrong, wants to know, can we go as close to hippos as we do to lions? We tend not to, no. As I said, hippos are quite skittish and can become a bit aggressive as well with when you get too close to them, and they're not really used to vehicles either. So we tend to keep our distance from the hippos as opposed to lions. And hippos can also be quite difficult to read and quite temperamental. Whereas with lions, they tend to show, they wear their heart on their sleeve a little bit more than the hippopotamus. So you can read them that little bit easier. So this is probably about the maximum distance, or the minimum distance I would get to a hippo. Charmed is wondering, how vulnerable are hippos in small pools of water? Well, they are vulnerable, but not as much as you might think. They are very large animals and don't often get predated on except by large packs of lions. So they're pretty safe in a waterhole. And as we can see at the front, if we just go towards the head of the hippo for a second here, so we can see that all of their sensory organs are pretty much on that same line or that same plane there. So they can still smell, hear and see while they are submerged in the water. We can see this one is scanning around. And so they're probably actually more vulnerable to one another, because if another hippopotamus thinks that this might be a good spot for it, then there might be a bit of a kerfuffle. Oh, cool, it's flicking water onto its back there. But because of their size and aggression, hippos tend to be avoided by a lot of animals. It's something we need to be very wary of when we're on bushwalks back in Juma. Neat is wondering, is it true that hippos can crush boats in small boats in half? Well, I haven't heard of this ever happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if they could. I'm picturing in my head a canoe. Now the hippo decided to come at a canoe and come on top of it. I think the weight underneath could definitely break a boat, or if it was to charge perhaps one from the side. I'm not sure in what situation that would happen, but I wouldn't put it past a hippopotamus to be able to break a small boat. Such as, yeah, I'm thinking a canoe. That's what I have pictured in my head right now. Of course, many of you would know my favourite story about hippos, the Pablo Escobar story, how he bought some and the government couldn't get rid of him. So they made a bit of a... And they made a little bit of an error there, and now they have made a population in Colombia. Now, Steve is asking how close are the lions to the hippos, and I just turned my head around to have a check, and there is a lion right next to it. Not right next to us. I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to get it with the camera. Nah, we won't be able to get it with the camera, but it's probably about 20 metres or 60 feet away from where I am, and so that would make it about, probably about 80 metres, so about 250 feet away from this lion that has crept up next to us without me even knowing. Very cool. Looks to be another lioness from where I am sitting. Let me just turn the car and we can actually have a good look at it. Bear with me at 1 second. Is that good? Cool. So here it is, in that golden light. Very cool. So there we go. That one just snuck up out of nowhere. Did a little stealth mission on it. So well, it looks like the other one that we were with earlier is walking over to join it as well. And the other three I can't see, as there is a there is a vehicle in the road. So very nice, again, very nice stuff here in the Masai Mara. As the sun sets, it always adds that extra bit of beauty to whatever sighting we may be having out here. And again, I plan to go on a bit of a bumble today, but nature had other plans for me. Oh, ripper. Absolutely ripper, which is Australian slang for good. Sorry, sometimes I fall back into Oz mode when I'm presenting. I need to stop doing that. Actually, Nikki Austin, one of our producers the other day, she first arrived at camp and she asked how Lauren was, and I said she was crook, and she looked at me so strange. She had no idea what I meant. A crook means sick in Australian. So if I catch myself out speaking Australian, I will definitely try and rectify it. I apologise for that. Someone who doesn't speak Australian but probably does speak a little Afrikaans is Tristan Dix down in South Africa. Let's go see how his search is going.
No, exactly. I don't speak Australian. I'm actually surrounded by them today. I've got Pat on one side and Taylor, the ever chatty McCurdy, on the other side. So, we don't like to be surrounded by the Australians. We always have a feud with them in terms of sporting events. They're actually so similar to us. It's probably why we hate them so much. It's just because they're mostly better than us at most sports, bar rugby at this stage, and probably even cricket, although they had a good game in cricket the other day. They beat India, which is probably one of the bigger wins they've had in a while, so maybe they're on the up and up again. But yes, Taylor, McCurdy and Pat. At least Pat is not as loud as what Taylor Mack is. Taylor McCurdy, you know she's around because it's a megaphone going off all day long. And actually, she was being very nasty to me today. She told me that I was late for work and posted an Instagram. Really for Taylor. Whitey's being a pain and we're losing signal, so we're going to have to go stationary right here, and we're going to have to, well, talk about nothing really, because there's not a single bird around that I can even see, and the light is nice though, I will say that, so it's going to be a good time if we can find something. The light is absolutely perfect for being able to maybe potentially find a cat. It would be nice if we got something like a leopard that would pop out somewhere close by. I mean, this Columba's been walking all over the place. I found lots of tracks from yesterday on Battalier Road. She was moving around there, and then it looks like obviously she was seen off Leadwood, and Taylor said she had tracks in the Milwaukee, so she's been a busy girl in this area, and I'm hoping that maybe this afternoon, now it's cooled off really nicely, she's going to go try find some water. We just got to try and catch her at the right water point, which is tricky at this time of the year because we've got so many different water points that are kind of around this area. So anyway, we're going to head off and try and see what we can find. In the meantime, though, let's send you back up to Patrick in the Mar.
Now, I do apologise, everyone. I'm just taking a quick snap because this is too good not to capture. Look at that lioness staring very... Ooh, what's a nice word? Regally, I think would be the nice word here, into that sunset. Absolutely perfect. So beautiful. So it looks like this one is starting to prick up a little bit and get moving. It's the only one that's really not flat right now. And right in front of us, although we're pretty blinded by that golden sunlight, there is an abundance of prey options. There is topi, there's a zebra, there is impala, there's buffalo. The whole works, even little warthogs. Plenty of warthogs running around. So there is definitely no shortage of food here, should the lions decide that they want to hunt tonight. But they're actually quite spread out at the moment. So very spread out actually. They're almost in a complete circle around me, but they're all about, maybe 40 or up to 40, between 40 to 100 meters. So what's that, about 120 to 300 feet spaced out. They are too close together, but yeah, this is very, very cool to be surrounded by lions. Ooh, exciting stuff. So we have these solid cats here in Masai Mara, but in Juma, Taylor has one of the more spotted or rosetted variety, not to give too much away, wink wink.
We found, well, you can't see him yet. We've got Mr. Tingana. Can you hear the kudu? Kudu also barking. Sorry, I'm really excited because I love Tingana, and first time I've seen him since I've been back. Yes! And the kudu told us that he was here. Thank you, kudu. You know, I often drive this Firebreak Road just off Buffelshoek boundary instead of driving on Buffelshoek boundary itself. And I didn't today, which was unlike me. But it's fine. We still got him. But now I need to... Oh, goodness. Craig, we're going to hit lots of stumps. Sorry. I'm going to try and get a view of him. Okay. But, unfortunately, Tingana is not taller than the grass. So the kudu's still shouting. Probably you'll hear them. I'm just going to concentrate. So I don't want to drive over him. That'd be terrible. And realistically, this grass is so tall. So we're going to go extra slowly. Oh, please don't. Actually, I think I've just seen the rooty walkie push through the grass. Oh, they do this. How crazy. They just give you the slip in this long grass. That's why all safari guides, they go, we like winter. It's our favorite time of the year. Hey, you hear that all the time. I'm telling you now, it's because the animals give us a slip so so often, sorry. Where did he go, though? What a nightmare. I don't know if he kept speeding or if he's still just sitting in the grass, Craig. I thought if he was walking, he'd maybe put his tail up and that white sort of flash would give his presence away. But I've just stopped just to look around. And also to see if there may be any other birds or something else is going to give his presence away just to help us. Oh, man. No, Tingana, come out. We totally had him, though. I don't know, Craig, do you think he's faster than us and he's already ahead on the road? Or do you think he's just hiding away in here? Yeah, Tingana. I wish that really worked. I can't tell you how I wish we could just call the cats out. Wonderful. Tristan is probably going to give me a whole lot of nonsense now about losing Tingana in the long grass. He's probably going to say we didn't even have him. Anyways, he's looking at something that's got a couple more legs than Tingana does.
Not at all, Taylor. I'm glad that you managed to find him, and hopefully in the time that we look at this beautiful golden orb spider, you'll be able to find Tingy once again. It's tricky at the moment. Being able to follow a leopard is not an easy thing. It sounds like it would be easy, but the grass is so thick and the bush is so dense and there's stumps everywhere. You end up doing 40 turns and taking routes that you probably wouldn't in winter, which means that you kind of lose them quite quickly. And if Tingana's on a mission, then you've got very little hope depending on where she is. But I'm glad she found her. I mean, found him, should I say, nonetheless. We were both kind of heading parallel to one another earlier, so we kind of let Taylor go off towards Buffelshoek Dam because she was looking for Ellie, so I'm glad that she managed to find him. But anyway, we've got a beautiful, beautiful female golden orb web. She's massive. This is a really nice example of one. You can see all her victims that are basically in front of her face at the moment. They've been spun into the web. And that's on purpose. She's basically pulled them all to the same point. So there's almost like a little line that goes down from the front of her face, and you'll see there's just kind of different little carcasses all in amongst there, and that will be flies and various insects that have flown into this web, and basically is there just to stop, you know, animals not seeing her web. It's really difficult to see the webs. When you zoom out a little bit, you'll actually see that you can't really make out the webs very well at all. They start to kind of disappear into the background, and so that's sort of area of little carapaces and carcasses essentially makes it much easier to be able to see, as well as her sitting right out in the middle. Remember, she's got coloration that's going to tell everybody that she's not something to eat. So she can sit like this right out and make herself as visible as possible, and therefore try and deter anything like elephants and giraffe and nyala and all these various animals from walking through and destroying her web. Now, I'm trying to see around her if we can see any other spiders. There should, generally, if you look, and you look very carefully, you can find two other spiders often hanging around on a golden orb web, and one is the male orb web, who is tiny in comparison to her. I don't see him anywhere around her. And then the second spider that you get often on these webs is called a dewdrop spider, and they're little kleptoparasites for these particular spiders. They'll come in and try and kind of basically feed off anything that this golden orb web has managed to subdue. Their venom and their ability to subdue large prey is not good, and so much easier to live on a web where there's a much bigger spider and then just try and run in and steal when that spider is not around. But what I'm going to do, just to see if we can find a dewdrop, is I'm just going to try and see if I can get a little bit closer so we can try and just check around the web, because with the naked eye is often the best way to spot them. I think if we go around the other side, Sens might be the best way. Let's have a little look here. Wildlife, I think not many people would agree with you on that, but I mean, I would, but I don't think many others would. But you're basically saying that the spider is the greatest asset to anybody's home. Oh, it might be quite nice from this angle because the webs will be nice and golden with the backlighting. There we go, and also probably help us to try and spot any of these dewdrops. But they are good in a home. I mean, the thing about them, and why somebody might say, but why would you want them in your home? Well, these guys are able to catch a multitude of insects, particularly things like mosquitoes, and they keep the house free of flies and those kind of things. So it's vitally important that you have them around. So there we go. So just see the web is slightly catching those golden rays at the moment, and you can see how it's a tangle of kind of sticky lines that are able to catch anything that comes through here. And this particular web is actually incredibly strong. Often birds will even get caught in this. I've seen small birds like waxbills and firefinches, canaries, all being caught in a web like this, which is pretty insane. You can see a nice close-up view of what that spider looks like, and you can see it's got the nice orange and blacks, and that will be those colors that I was telling you about. It'll stop it from being hunted by things like birds. I don't see any sign of the dewdrop spiders, unfortunately. Normally, if you get the sun just right, you can see them glistening. That's why they're called dewdrop spiders. They look like a little drop of dew on the web. Obviously, at this time of the day, there's no going to be any drops of dew. It would be too hot through the day. It would have dried that up, so then you know it's a little spider. But how cool is that? Very cool view of a spider. Some of you will probably be shuddering and shaking, so we won't punish you any longer. We'll send you back up to Pat and something a little bit more pretty than this.
So we are still here with this lioness. It just moved off from where it was sitting. We had the most perfect scene in front of us, but as lions love to do, they did move just when we didn't want it to happen. I was going to ask for a one-word tweet. I suppose I could still do it because we did get that nice view. So if we can think back to that view that we had, a one-word tweet using the hashtag SafariLive to describe that perfect moment we had there with that lioness sitting perfectly in the sunset. So use that hashtag SafariLive, and I will be waiting for your responses. As I do though, I'm just going to move around to these other two lions. They are literally scattered all over the place right now. I could pretty much drive in any direction I wanted to and find a lion, which is great. I was really starting to get a bit down at my lion finding abilities after those sausages gave me the runaround, but I have been having more than my share of lions in the last few days. And cheetah as well. What a lucky boy I am. So this looks to be two young males up on our right here. One looks... Barb says regal. That is the exact word I had in my head as well. Regal. So regal, so royal, or deserving of royalty. So here we are. So, well, maybe this is a female with this male. It's hard to tell. It's quite young. Lauren says golden. That is another perfect word for it. That golden light, the golden lion, the golden hour. Absolutely. 100% agree with that one. Oh, and now you're going to move off as well, are you? Okay. Go do something cool for us. Go for a hunt, hey? So that one was definitely a male that moved off there. And then we have what looks to be a female here. And then behind that even there is another two that we can see. And then even further off in the distance, we have yet another one. Absolutely awesome to have so many lions. And then if we look to our right as well, we have another one. And there's one behind us. Lions everywhere. So I shall stay with them in the hopes that something does happen in the next hour or so. Let's go back down to Taylor in South Africa.
Look how gorgeous this is. I'm actually not going to say anything. I think this needs a moment. Wow. So we managed to keep up with him. We actually went back to where we lost him. And there he was. There he was, waiting for us in the long grass, super camouflage. I'll have to try to show you a picture. And then he's just started walking again. He's walking straight down Buffelshoek boundary now. He soared, which was amazing because it is the first time that I've heard a leopard soar up close since I've been back in South Africa. That is such an epic sound. Oh, I'm so spoiled. And he's scent marking, so we've got the wonderful whiff of popcorn. Hey, Craig, how's this day? Couldn't get any better. Yay, Tingana! He's such a cool leopard. I wasn't that fond of him when I first arrived. Sorry, I'm just off-roading and back onto the road, but it's quite steep sort of side, so it's not making it particularly easy for me. No 4x4. Sorry, everybody. This gear, it's wonderful in this car. Wendy's works much better. Anyways, so... Oh, that's so cool. Let's see if he's still here. He's gone into Buffelshoek, sadly. So hopefully he just keeps walking. Hopefully, I don't know if he's going to come back on the road. He went down in here, hey, Craig? There he goes. Sadly, Tingana is giving us a very, very short sighting as he meanders down the pathway into Buffelshoek, where he seems to be spending a fair amount of time. So Gajima and Wabayiza and all the other male leopards that live around here better watch out, because the old man is coming through and he's not being quiet about it either. I hope you all took some screenshots because that was spectacular. That was amazing. I think we could do a one-word tweet, hey, Craig? How did you find that sighting? I know it was short and sweet, but how beautiful was it of him walking down the road? If you would like to partake in a one-word tweet, let us know. #SafariLive. How did that sighting make you feel? Made me feel extremely happy. Craig, if you had to rate that out of 10? Craig is a tough judge, as most of you know. He's only rated that sighting 3. Now, people are going to message you, Craig, and they're going to be like, it's Tingana, he's the king, and I'll back them. I thought that was really awesome. I don't know, Final Control, did you like it? Is that why there's been absolute silence? Have you just lost your breath because it was so beautiful? I'm imagining that that's what's going on. Actually, I'm reversing again, Craig. Look how beautiful. Oh, is it as nice? Oh, sorry, Craig. Stand by. There's a car behind us. Sorry everybody, there's a vehicle behind me which is trying to get past, so I just want to let them go past, and then we shall carry on. I'll reverse back and get that view for you again, because it's really pretty of the sunset. I'm so sorry. I'm struggling to hear anything that Nina is saying. I don't know if it's my earpiece, if it's the radio, if it's the internet. It's something though. You're sounding like a robot, which is strange. So I'm so sorry, Nina. I haven't heard one of those names that you've just read through to me for that one-word tweet. Apologies, everybody. I'm having technical difficulties. Okay, still sound like a robot, which is interesting. But penguin on the safari, I couldn't... No. Are you hearing comms clearly, by any chance, Craig? It's very metallic and tinny, so I don't understand why it's gone like that, and I'm fiddling with the volume levels now. Very strange. I'm so sorry. I asked for a one-word tweet, and now I can't hear what any one of you are saying. Sometimes you just, I don't know, pull the wires a little bit, and then sometimes that works. Sorry, everybody. I don't really know what to do. Okay, I don't know. I just heard something about linking. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and get my earpiece or whatever's going on in this car back up and running. So I'll send you to somebody who's doing something somewhere on Safari.
Oh, well, Taylor. Hopefully you'll sort out your earpiece and you'll be able to hear what's going on. And I'm sad that Tingana went north again. He did the same trick yesterday. So I don't know what's going on, why he keeps going that side. Maybe he's still looking for that female to mate with her, I don't know. Maybe that's why, or that's why he's patrolling that side, is just because there is a female that is in estrus. But it's a beautiful, beautiful sunset this evening. I'm going to try and stop somewhere here. Should be able to get a nice view of what's going on. I think probably about in this gap here, Sense. Nice kind of view of the sun setting over the Drakensbergs. The light is absolutely beautiful at the moment. There's a few sort of clouds that have been stretched across the landscape by high winds up there. And then you've got that orange orb that is slowly setting kind of down behind that cloud base. Now, Miss McTardy wants to speak to me, so we'll find out what our latecomer wants to say. Go ahead, McTardy. She's not talking to me now. Now she's just broken up. I don't know what she actually wants from me. She just said, can I please just... Yeah, she said I must stand by. So Taylor's kind of trying to chat to me, but I don't know what the problem is. It's just cutting in and out, and then she told me to stand by. So hopefully she will kind of get her message across just now, which will be fine. But how pretty is that landscape? It makes up for the lack of animals this afternoon. Absolutely beautiful. It's the perfect time now for a leopard as well, for little Klalamba to come out. And so hopefully she will... Sorry, excuse me, guys. Alama, you say it looks like a beach sunset. It does indeed, doesn't it? It almost looks as though the kind of ocean is just below, but nice clouds that are being kind of highlighted by that sun as it starts to go down, and we're going to lose it quite quickly, probably in the next 5 minutes. We're not going to see much more of it at all, but I just like how the clouds on the left of the sun there have this kind of lining, and rather than a silver lining, it's a very, very golden lining, or red gold actually at this stage. Almost looks like that cloud between the sun and the big cloud on the left almost looks like a lightning bolt that's kind of been frozen in time over the landscape, which is quite cool. So very, very cool shot. Well done, Sens. Very, very nice indeed. It looks like almost like a painting, doesn't it? Very pleasant. Sometimes nice just to stop and actually listen. So I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit so we can listen to some of the sounds. Now apparently Lawrence agrees with me that it looks like a painting, and we both said it at the same time. And that's it, I'm afraid. And down she goes. So, right, very, 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 very nice. Now it looks like a little angry face, doesn't it? Two little eyes and a kind of mouth that's, I don't know what the word is, I don't know what the emoticon for that is, but it looks like two little eyes and then like this kind of grimace on its face at this stage. Anyway, we're going to carry on. It's nice to stop at this time of the day and just listen a little bit, because often you can get alarm calls or vocalizing from certain animals, so good to just kind of stop there for a little bit. But we're going to carry on and see what else we can find. I'm still going to try and find little Columba. She's around here somewhere. Like I said, the block that she went into is just quite big as well, so you know, I thought with the grass being so long she might be up in a tree this afternoon, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like she's obviously found herself a nice little comfy spot and is lying down. I've checked pretty much all the water points that I know of in this particular section, so even the ones that are hidden, I went and had a look at those, but nothing really hanging around and no tracks of her drinking at any of them, so hopefully she'll come out now. Good, we're going to keep trying. In the meantime, back up to Pat and his lions.
Well, we had some exciting scenes just before. There was a lion, or two lions, that did chase a little family of warthogs and was unsuccessful. So just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a movement, and then there was just chaos for a few seconds. The warthogs managed to escape, and the lion that initiated it has moved very far away. I can still just see it on the horizon, but it's probably about half a kilometre, so just under about about 1,500 feet away from us, so very long way away. And there's Topi on the horizon I can see that have noticed it, so it must be in hunting mode, I think, but it's moving away very quickly and none of the pride are following it. And now, just a heads up, this lion has not been possessed. It is not a horror movie. It is just infrared lighting, which is a light that the camera can pick up, but nothing else can. So we are avoiding shining lights in the animal's eyes to see them. The wonders of technology. Still with these two males here, and I'm just going to do a quick count up to see how many there are, because there has been a few move and they're all over the place, as I have been getting at. So there's the one that went all the way over on the horizon line now. There's this one we're looking at and another one laying close to it. Next to me there's two, another one close by just behind me diagonally, and then another two there. So that makes it about 8 all up, 9 all up. Oh no, there's another one. Even further back there's more. Okay, so maybe about 10 or 11. That's just what I can see as well. They are really spread out right now. All over the place. And so I am hoping that the rest of them want to follow on from that one that initiated the hunt. They, as I said, have not been following. Bobby, yes, it is good for the little warthogs. As much as we love to see a hunt, as much as we love to see the lions being successful, it's also good to see the little ones get away. So there was a few younger warthog amongst it. So it looked like 2 adults and about 3 young. So for all of them to get away is very good. It's always good to have a win for the underdogs. And I think it was one of the less experienced, one of the younger lions that decided to just lash out. It literally happened out of nowhere. So I'm definitely going to be staying with these lions for the rest of the drive, just so I can hopefully get a successful hunt, or even just another attempt. Because as I said, that one only involved 1 lion and the second one kind of joined in at the end, but there wasn't that much interest. Lauren wants to know, is that the Olololo pride? Well, that's what I seem to think as well. There is a lot of males amongst this pride, and it's quite a large pride. And we are a little bit away, but not very far away from Olololo territory. But having said that, they were also spotted away from here this morning as well. So that is what's giving me that doubt. So that's why I just don't want to say exactly which pride this is, because I'm not confident about which one it actually is that we have. But judging by the size and the density of males, my guess is the Olololos. Very, very nice night. All right. There are a couple of males as well, a couple of older males that I'm just going to have a quick talk to Bongay. The ones in the bushes, is that the ones you're talking about? Yeah, okay, cool. So there were two older males that we saw this morning that were kind of hiding away in bushes. We could not get a good sight of them. We could see that they were full-grown males because we could see a portion of the body and the mane. So let's go check them out while the other ones are resting. Hopefully saving their energy up for a big night ahead. Now this one on the horizon that I was talking about is completely out of sight now. Completely out of sight. I actually can't see it at all. I can see there's a few topi on guard out there, but I can't actually see that lion. So where it went, I don't know. It must have been hungry, or it must have been wanting a hunt. So the sun has well and truly set now here in the Mara, but we are a little bit ahead of South Africa, so lucky for you guys, you get 2 sunsets tonight, and I believe Taylor has one for you.
I think it's really, really cool that you get to have 2 sunrises and 2 sunsets on SafariLive. So it's pretty awesome that Kenya's a little bit ahead in time. And we managed to fix our communication with a simple, did you switch it on and off again? No jokes, that worked really well. And now I can hear perfectly, which is amazing. It was quite stressful having 8 people talking to you. It wasn't quite 8 people, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 people talking into your ear at once. It was super hectic. You can't multitask through. And then I love, look at the one beam of light that's sort of dividing where the clouds, the big sort of clouds on the left-hand side versus the sort of more cirrus clouds on the right-hand side. That's very, very pretty. It does look like someone's dipped their paintbrush in a little bit of paint and then some water and done a big streak across the horizon. And all the birds doing their last call. Lots of birds chirping away. I thought that if we also sat silently here, we might hear Tingana sawing, but he just sawed once. Isn't that so peaceful? I would literally just put surround sound in my house for these quiet moments. Must be really nice for those of you that are living in cities and maybe don't live near any wilderness areas. So even though we get to appreciate it all the time, I know that you all love it back home too. Okie dokie. Which leopard are we going to see next, seeing as though Tingana has crossed the border? We can't go, sadly. I don't know, but I feel like we're on a roll. So, Craig, I think we should just check Sandy Patch. I think we'll go all the way down Buffelshoek boundary towards Sandy Patch and check around there, then go towards Impala Plains, maybe drive Ballanites Road, Mandoza. We'll sort of check that area and see what's happening. Maybe find a sneaky lion or 2 that are just around here, or silhouetted elephants on quarantine. It would be good. But I didn't see any elephants around there today. We might even bump into Tingana again. Maybe he'll just walk parallel with Buffelshoek boundary. You could cut out, we could hear him calling, although I think, no, I don't know. Do you think he'll come past the dam cam? Or at least close enough that if he soars, you'll be able to hear him? I hope he does. Are you happy with our plan, Craig? What? Oh, there's not actually very many prominent animal pathways coming out along this road. I was just looking now, just every now and then you'll see a sandy pathway going through the grass. Otherwise, everyone's using their own routes. It's nice to see first thing in the morning when the grass has got dew. See how the grass sort of pushes over super easily. You can see, especially with a herd of impala, it's quite nice to see all the different pathways. It does help when you're trying to track a leopard or a lion as well. And they go onto the grass. And there's lots of little bugs tonight. Should have asked Steve to leave his goggles, and I could have him. Oh my goodness, Pat is just winning at the safari today. He's now got 2 male lions to complete the pride, which is very cool. Let's go and find out which big boys those are.
Yeah, now we've got the real men. So we have came back to that bush that I was speaking of earlier that we did check out today, and the 2 males have emerged. Now, I believe that these 2 may be Kichwa males, the 2 Kichwa males, but I am not 100% confident. We need to see either teeth or tail to be able to confirm that, because one of them is missing a tooth and the other one is missing a tip to its tail. And we rightly name the one Fang that is missing a tooth. So hopefully one of them decides to open their mouth or turn around so we can positively get an ID. But considering the area that we are in, I believe that this is the 2 Kichwa males. So I've probably moved about 200 metres, 600 feet from where the other lions were, but I am just going to keep on looking back, shining my flashlight that way, just in case they do get up and start hunting. So I did come to show these 2, but I'm also looking back there as well, because I just get the feeling that they might be ready to go for a hunt tonight. I know that one definitely was, one that chased the warthog and has now more than disappeared. I really wonder where it went. So this is hopefully what some of those younger males that we were with earlier will grow up to be. These 2 look very impressive. Sprickles is asking whether lions will hunt in the day or at the night. Well, they will tend to hunt more towards dusk, night and early morning, but that's not to say that they don't hunt in the daytime. So they do have good vision at night time and in low light conditions, so they can use that to their advantage when it's not so hot, because lions do get very hot and don't want to overheat, therefore will spend most of the day resting. But that is, as I said, definitely not to say they won't hunt during the day. That's just the variation in nature. I had the Owinos yesterday hunting at about 4 o'clock, which is starting to get towards the end of the day, but it was still very bright and still very hot. And I believe that was because they didn't want to leave their cubs for too long. Then we had that epic sighting. Well, cool. Did the other one move off while I was speaking just then? It must have. Wow. Lions are really sneaking around me tonight. Yeah, can't see it anywhere. Oh well, we are left with this one strong male. And as I was getting at, there's everything that we speak of and everything that we say about animals and about nature, it's never ever really defined. So you might say, for example, that this lion, the lions on average weigh 150 kilograms, just a hypothetical situation. But then you might get a lion that weighs 200 kilograms and you might get a lion that weighs 100 kilograms. So no matter what you say, there's always variation. So a good way to kind of solidify this is to think of us humans. So you might say that the average male weighs 70 to 80 kilograms, but then I know so many other full-grown males that are way outside of that, some 100 kilograms, some 60 kilograms. So there's always that variation in nature. And so when we say that lions will mostly hunt at night, that's definitely not saying that they don't hunt during the day. Now, bear with me for a second. I'm just going to have a look at what is moving in over here. I wonder if it's that lion coming back. No, it appears to be... It's hard to see in the dark, but maybe... Vincent is saying, I better hope that this lion doesn't run after me, sir. Well, that is very unlikely to happen. We can see that this animal is very relaxed right now. And although people say lions are very vicious, most of the time they just cannot be bothered, to be honest. Sometimes you will see a male lion maybe roll over and give you a bit of a grunt during the day, but most of the time they don't really mind and they're very relaxed. So, yeah, they're not as vicious as everyone thinks. And as I was saying before, I know that most people are definitely more scared of a hippo than they are of a lion. Well, it looks like this male is staying down, so it's not letting us get a good look to try and get a proper ID. And of course, low light conditions make it all that bit harder. I really wonder where the other male did get to. Anyway, I'm going to head back down to these other lions now. Just thought I'd make this a trip over and see if they had emerged from the bush, and they had. So it's good to show some full-grown male lions. We so often show the juveniles and the sub-adults. But, actually, no. Lauren got Scar today, that's right. That's, yeah, I was very happy to hear that. I've heard it's been quite some time since that lion has been spotted. So it's good to have some tabs back open. Now, I'm really hoping the lions aren't being sneaky tonight and decide to go away. But I'm sure we'll be able to pick up on them. There is so many around this area right now. Very spoiled for choice. So while I get myself into a better position, let's go back down south. I think Tristan is still on his search.
Well, we've decided to temporarily halt our search for Little Columba and come to the den. It's at this time of the day that often the den is incredibly active. And as you can see, they're all out and about and causing trouble. There's lots and lots of movement that is taking place with Plonk. I think that was the first one that came towards us, but there's hyenas all over the place, and they're at that age now where it's all about investigating the cars, and you're not allowed to bite tires. Are they biting tires, Sense? Just smelling. Okay, that's fine. They're allowed to come and sniff around and see what's going on, but super cute. And so nice that we've got this den that's so full of life at the moment. We've got, you know, so many little ones. There's these two, well, there's lots of new additions since I was last year. Got these two little ones that are this size, and then I think there's two new ones as well on top of that. So in case, maybe these are the new ones, I'm not sure. It's like I said, there's a whole bunch of them that apparently have been seen lately. These ones aren't tiny, so I think these are the sort of middle ones, which would be, I would imagine, must be June's ones that are out and about and looking at us with those big, beautiful eyes. Aren't they cute? I think they're very cute. Time at a hyena den should change most people's minds about hyenas in terms of how cute they can be and how kind of playful they are when they're at this age. It's one of those kind of areas where if you really kind of spend a bit of time biting the tires. Hey, Now, they're biting the tires, so we just got to tell them off every now and then because they're not allowed to do that. It's a bad habit that they can get into, and it always happens at a den. It's whether it's in the Mara, here in the Sabi Sands, or even, you know, any of the dens that I've been to, they are like this. No, I can feel you biting the tires. Stop it. Yes, you know you're being naughty. No biting of the tire. Yes, there we go. So we just rolled back slightly, and the tire moving is why they were kind of moving away. So they're not allowed to bite the tires. It's just common decency. We have to make sure that they know that tires are not food and they are not to be played around with or eaten. Now, the thing is that we probably can't really stay here for much longer, and I'll tell you why. Is because I'm not a huge fan of being in hyena dens at this time of the day, even though we can use infrared lights and things like that if there's no adults present, and I can't see any adults at this stage. It looks like only young ones. Oh no. What are you doing? You can't pull the other one by its ear. Well, it goes back for more. I suppose it deserves to be pulled by its ear when it goes and bites its older sibling by the neck. But they are comical when they're at this age because they just bully each other non-stop, and there's lots of biting that takes place and lots of games where they run around and cause havoc. Now, a lot of you are laughing and saying that this little one should run away. Well, it's the instigator. It's like typical in any family, is the little one is the one that instigates what goes on, and then goes and pulls its older brother's ears or older sister's ears and hair, and then cries wolf when things go wrong and the older siblings take it out. I know I was a bit like that with my older brother, as I used to cause havoc and then run off and call my parents. So, Lindsay, the reason why they go at the tires is well, the first they start sniffing, and then for them, they don't have hands to explore things, so they start to chew. And at this age, a lot of the time, they're teething a little bit, and so the rubbery nature of a tire is the perfect thing to be biting. And so they always go for tires. It's just one of those things. It's common to see it at a hyena den. The point is that you just need to kind of be quite stern with them. So when they come towards the tires, you just kind of like stamp your feet or just roll slightly, and then eventually they grow out of it. It doesn't last forever if you're good about it. If you let them do it regularly and all the time, well, then you've got a problem. They're going to be naughty and keep doing it. And there comes the lightest one. This one is almost white in coloration. It's incredibly light colored hyena. No, you may not come and eat tires, because you were the first one to start the nonsense just now. I'm not being listened to, am I? No, they're not listening to me. The other two in the background, they're busy fighting and playing, and here comes a trouble number 2. So it's like when one does it, the other one has to do it, and so they're both now coming. And this is what happens when there's no adults around either, is that there's these kind of things that take place. Those two are busy bullying each other and dragging each other around by ears. It's amazing it doesn't hurt, because their little teeth must be like needles at this age, and so I'm surprised that it doesn't hurt. And you can see now that they are being egged on by their oldest siblings in terms of being brave. If the older siblings are here, then they'll come and wander this way. If the older siblings are up at the top of the den, they know instinctually to run that way and go and hide away. So it's funny to watch how their kind of bravery changes accordingly. Vicky, I'm not sure if Khoza's been seen of late, since he's kind of was seen with that bad injury. So I honestly, I don't know whether he's been seen or not. Senzo's busy trying to sort them out. Senzo, I'm just going to roll back a little bit. Yes, you're not allowed to eat the tires. You know that. You're being naughty. No. So this one is the naughty one of all of them. Yes, you. Don't look at me with that sweet little face as if to say, I'm not doing anything, I'm up to no good. You can see lots of flies around at the moment, so they'll be irritating ears and various other things around. Right, so Khoza apparently was seen the other day with Steve and had a bit of a gash on his head. But no, I haven't seen Khoza, and I don't know when that day was that Steve saw them. But certainly I haven't seen them since I've been back. In fact, this is the first time I've been to the den since I've been back from leave. And lots has changed since I was last year. Everybody's gotten slightly bigger. It seems as though there's something on the other side there. Like I said, I don't want to stick around now. It's starting to get dark. You can see by the kind of quality of our picture. And I don't see any adults, so we can't stay here if there's no adults. If there's adults around, it's okay, because they'll be able to protect whatever comes around. But you can imagine if something like Hukumuri comes to investigate while we parked here and these little ones are out, it would feel very, very bad if something were to happen to them. So we're going to probably carry on. Like I say, don't really feel comfortable to be here at this time of the day. If it was getting lighter rather than darker, then we probably would. But the fact that it's getting dark now and there's no adults to protect these little ones means that we need to carry on our way. I just want to go around because there's another entrance on the other side, so there might be an adult sitting there. Right, let's see. No adults lying anywhere this side. I'm surprised that they're so out and about if there isn't an adult here. No, there's no adults here. Right, so we're not going to stay. We're going to leave those little ones to themselves so that they can hear and see and do all their little things. And like I say, our lights can often attract, well, not lights, but I mean our vehicle can often attract the likes of lions and leopards and these kind of things when we are stationary inside here, because they come and investigate, much like hyenas do if you're sitting out there. So we're going to leave them to it and let them carry on. I know it's probably seems counterintuitive then, you know, coming all this way to see them and then just leaving, but the reason is purely just to try and keep them as safe as possible. But sometimes, as much as it's nice to sit and watch young animals play, if the mom's not around and it's getting dark, that's when the dangers lurk, and so better to be respectful. The den's not going to go anywhere at this stage, and so we can come back again tomorrow morning to see what's going on. But from here, I'm not really sure where I'm going to go. I think I might just quickly check Treehouse. You never know, maybe Hukumuri's kind of decided to come back a little bit. I doubt it. He's probably quite far from here. I have no idea where he ended up from when we last saw him, but generally it takes him a good couple days to get back around and through this way. But if he is coming, then this is the area that he will basically come through and move towards. The other reason why I want to go to Treehouse Dam is because often our hyena clan, they'll go there and have a bit of a drink and a wallow, and so you might find Corky or Pretty or June or Ribbon hanging around that side. So worth just taking a little spin past Treehouse and seeing what's happening there. And if nothing there, well, then I'm not quite sure. Maybe one more time up the Mulwati to see if Columbus pops out, and we'll head back home. Seems like a fair enough gamble at this stage, because it is a gamble. It's amazing just how dense everything is. I can't believe how much it's thickened up since I went on leave. I suppose there's been a lot of rain though since I was on leave. Right, we're going to head off towards Treehouse. Like I said, we're going to see what's happening that side. In the meantime though, off to Patrick, who's with his entire pride of lions.
Well, we are still here with the lions, and they have all grouped together now, and I think they are going out to hunt. So there's been a lot of low calls, a lot of growls towards one another. They have all come together. I counted 11 of them, and that one has returned from its journey off into the distance. So we are just going to stay with them and hope that they do start to hunt. So it is a little bit difficult now to keep up with them in the dark, especially seeing as we only have the range of the infrared, but we're going to do our best to keep up and hopefully capture some action. Bongay seemed to think that they were going to go for the hippo, but they are moving in a different direction to that now. There's definitely strength in numbers here. Let me just have a quick look, see if there's anything on the horizon that they might want to take. It looks pretty bare at the moment, but lions will probably have much better eyesight than me right now, and perhaps even the one that went off into the distance noticed something on the way. So now it's just playing the waiting game. So this is really the calm before the storm, or well, fingers crossed it is the calm before the storm. It's always very kind of I don't know, there's that little bit of electricity in the air when you can feel a hunt coming on. This is definitely one of those moments where you do just have that kind of anything could happen sort of feeling. So hopefully something does occur. Just get my flashlight back out, make sure they haven't moved any further. So they have all gone flat, all in a nice line here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, so my count was correct. There are 11 lions here. And it looks like... there only seems to be a few males. It is a bit hard to tell in this low light, and because there are a few kind of sub-adult juveniles there, it is a bit difficult to tell, but there actually isn't as many males as what I first thought. So perhaps this isn't the Olololo pride. The question of which pride it is, though, is still on my lips. So there's no knowing for sure, but there's also no knowing for sure what's going to happen. So they are getting up and moving again, or at least a few of them. Just trying to use the kind of wash of the light to see them. I'm not actually shining the light directly on them, just using the very edge of it to see. Looks like we do have a little bit more movement, a few moving up. We can see, well, I can see at least, you probably can't see that there is a bit of tail movement as well from the leader, saying follow me. And of course those characteristic head rubs that we see when they're all moving off and they pass one laying down. I'm just going to move a little bit closer up now that they have moved forward a bit. Hopefully we can get a better look. Just don't want to cross their paths as well. Whilst I trail these lions, I'm going to send you back to Tristan in Juma. I think he has found some hyena to show you all, so that is awesome.
Well, it's difficult to see, but there were 2 hyenas that are moving around in the long grass there. So Treehouse Dam was the correct call in terms of finding some of the clan members. And they seem to be milling about at the moment. I don't know if there's something around. I mean, I know Hukamuri had that porcupine a few days ago, but I mean, they seemingly are kind of milling about and sniffing. This is the closest one. The other one walked away from where this one is standing to the back. You can see it's a bit far for our IR even. I mean, it's probably, I would say, from where we are, maybe 100 meters. So it's a long way. And you can see the kind of sun setting in the background, and that's Treehouse Dam in the foreground. So I was hoping that they're going to come closer towards the dam and come and have a bit of a drink. They were initially walking in this direction, but you can see they've kind of changed direction now. And it's difficult to say who they are. I mean, all I've got really, in my view, is pitch black. But on the screen itself even, I mean, it's so far that we can't really make out any of the spot pattern. But what we can do is it looks like they're kind of angling at this stage to come closer to the dam. So if we're just patient, maybe we'll be able to see who this is. I would imagine it must be, like I say, one of the moms, or 2 of the moms that I suppose could be the boys, but I'd imagine maybe 2 of the moms, so Ribbon or Pretty or Corky, or one of them could be these guys that are here. There's lots of tracks coming from the den this way, so could be any one of them at this stage, and just too far to be able to actually see any definition for now, but hopefully we'll come closer. It's starting to come towards Treehouse Dam now, so if we're just patient, we could get a really nice view of this hyena, and hopefully it'll come and have a bit of a drink, although there's water everywhere, so maybe water's not the ideal thing. It's a bit creepy though, hyenas. I always think when the infrared, they look super creepy because their eyes really do glow, and that kind of menacing look that they've got, that dark face with those glowing eyes, always makes them kind of instill a bit of fear. You'd imagine kids would have nightmares if they had hyenas approaching them like this in the dark. Just as well, I suppose, when you actually in the bush and you spend time out here, that you don't actually see glowing eyes. You know, you wouldn't even know this hyena was coming if you were sitting here. You wouldn't get that glowing eye effect, but if you did, it would be super scary. Can you imagine trying to walk around here back in the day and There's a glaring hyena. Now it's walking behind us. Hold on, sense. Let's try to go back because that's the antenna that's there, which is making a horrible effect. Just try to go back a little bit and just see if we can get a nice view of this hyena before it crosses the road. You're going to cross behind us, you are. Who are you, though? Penguin on safari, you say you love seeing those spooky glowing eyes. Unfortunately, these hyenas cross behind us again, which is not ideal. I mean, I like it too. I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of creepy, but it's cool in many respects. And the fact that we have the technology to be able to see these guys without having to shine lights on them is quite special. So, are you going to stop behind us? Let's see if you're actually going to... No, don't now move off. You were perfectly in the right place. There we go. We're going to stop, and hopefully this one will also stop as well. So we can actually get an idea. It's not pretty or corky, that's for sure. The ears are too clean. Maybe June. Or one of the boys, actually. Could be. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely not one of the lactating moms, that's for sure. All right, well... It's going to disappear off into the grasses and around that way. So we're going to go around and just see if I can catch the second one that was coming the opposite direction on the other side of the dam. Let's see if we can find out who that is. Lots of hyena activity around here, though. Treehouse will be... If they keep that den and it starts to get dry and we start going into winter months, Treehouse Dam's going to be a hive of hyena activity. And we'll get them playing in the water and all kinds of things, which is always quite fun. So I'm hoping... that they will stay there. Don't see any eyes now. I'm just trying to scan with the lights because obviously otherwise I can't see anything. And we'll try and go around the northern side of the dam here and just see if we can pick up the other one that was walking around. It might have gone back towards the kind of den site area. Minamu, how hard is it for a hyena mom to scavenge for food for a growing clan? Well, remember, Minamu, that hyenas, while they do scavenge, will also hunt. And so if they're struggling to find food from a scavenging point of view, they're going to hunt for it, and they're going to find the food that they need via hunting. So it's not only scavenging that they'll do. This particular part of the world, very easy for them, and there's a lot of food available. Sense, can you get that chameleon for me, please? So there's a chameleon on the top of the tree over here. You got it there, Sense? Should be able to see it. So while we're kind of zooming into the chameleon, you can just see its eyes sticking out through the leaves there. So they're not too hard in this particular area. I mean, there's a lot of leopard population around here. There's wild dogs. There's typically quite a lot of food available to be able to kind of find food. So they're all right with that. And even though they got to go to a den, hyenas are very capable of moving big distances in order to find food and then coming kind of back to their den itself. I've actually seen hyenas go from a den, go over 5 kilometers away, fetch an impala carcass, and then drag it all the way back to the den in one morning drive. So they're able to find it quite well. Now, here we go. We got a chameleon, which is very, very nice. So I know a lot of you love when we see the chameleons. Taylor often challenges me to chameleons, so I suppose it's a fine time to see if Taylor can find one this evening. And this one is sitting in the most awkward manner you could possibly imagine. It's all kind of... hanging out is probably a very good word. It's kind of balancing from its sort of back legs are up, and then it's almost like it's doing some pull-ups on the branch at the moment. You can see it's kind of got its bum down and its tail hanging, and it's pull-up time. Exercise for the chameleons. It looks a bit wide-eyed, doesn't it? So, Ravinda, you were saying, we managed to finish the drive with what you were hoping for. Well, I'm glad. I know, like I say, chameleons, everybody loves chameleons, and we've had such a poor kind of summer so far in terms of chameleon viewing that it's been so nice that we've been seeing quite a few. I had one on bushwalk the other day. Now we've got this one that's hanging out, and so they seemingly are out and about after the bit of rain that we've had. And so long may it continue. I love seeing these guys. They're such incredible little creatures. And, you know, obviously in a lot of places in the world, they're quite tricky to find. But, you know, here, if you know what to look for, you know, you can find them. So penguin on safari, you're asking how I spotted this in the dark. It's actually much easier than you think. Once you know what to look for, it's actually not too bad. So when you're shining your spotlight around, generally you'll find that these chameleons will be a slightly lighter shade than the leaves around them. And you can kind of see it with the infrared there. You can see that it's almost kind of got a whiter shine than what the leaf has got. And so that's what you're kind of looking for. This particular one is easy because its underbelly is exposed, and often the underbelly is a much lighter coloration than the back. So if they've got their back to you, it can be a little bit more tricky. But yeah, you just, once you've learned how to see them and you start to see them for yourself with a spotlight, it becomes quite easy actually to spot them in the dark. Lauren, indeed, it is yoga, chameleon yoga on a Wednesday night. It's it doesn't look exactly happy about it though, does it? It's kind of got this sort of one eye that's closed, and it's looking as though it's a bit kind of in pain at the thought of doing chameleon yoga. Maybe it's being forced to, maybe it's been told you need to go and hit the yoga gym and make sure that you're in good shape, given that it is the summer months. So it needs to have its chameleon beach body before it goes in and poses nicely on a branch. So we caught it mid-yoga, and now it doesn't really know what to do with itself. It's just kind of sitting there and being, well, might as well just hang out and hope that they don't see me behind my little leaf. But it's really cool to kind of see how the eyes are moving, and I'm surprised what the one eye is actually closed and that the other eye is kind of open and looking around and trying to scope things out. So I would have expected both eyes to be closed, to be open, and we don't have any lights on this chameleon, so I'm surprised that its eye is open. Good. Anyway, we'll leave our chameleon in peace. We'll leave it to carry on its evening of exercise. In the meantime, let's send you across to Pat, who seems to be exercising his arm with a spotlight in search of his lines that might have just disappeared.
Well, we are still with the lions, but they have kind of moved deep away from any paths right now, which is a little bit unfortunate because we just don't have the range with the infrared, and we can't go off-road. We want to respect the rules of the park, so we just can't get a good visual on them right now. So I'm coming up to where the males are just so we have something to look at whilst I stake out this situation. So they are still here. Also seem to be up and on the move. Oh, I don't think we're going to be able to... We might just be able to get them in range. We've got one at the back here. So there we go, we can see one there. Also up and fixed on what is ahead. And the other male that was with it is just there, we can see. Just at the edge of my light there. So it's a tricky one, this one, trying to get this all and kind of stay with it all when we're restricted to just these few little roads. So I'm going to go back in hopes that they have moved further this way. This is sort of the direction they were heading, so maybe we can intercept them. There was a bit of a herd of a topi that were pretty close to them as well. So there's a lot to consider here and a lot to kind of work with. Anything that could sort of happen right now. As soon as I can get myself out of this little ditch here. Sorry, bear with me, everybody. There we go. So I can just see them, or is that the topi? I think that's the topi there. Can't seem to see them right now, but we are pretty far away. Oh, and I'm starting to feel some raindrops too, to add to everything going on right now. I think we're going to get... doesn't look too overcast. Maybe we're just going to get a little spit, a little shower. I sincerely hope so, because now would be the worst time to have to put the rain covers up. So it is all happening here in the Masai Mara, but I believe Taylor McCurdy has a bit more of a relaxed sighting back down south.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we've been relaxed the whole afternoon. For the last, I think, 25 minutes, we've been driving in first gear searching for chameleons. We've not been able to find a chameleon or an owl, but we have found an elephant. Craig spotted it, as it is perfectly camouflaged behind that little shrub. And it's actually really, really close, too. It's not far away from us. I actually thought it was a termite mound when I shone over it with my spotlight, and Craig went, no, it's an elephant. So here we are. And I cannot hear any other elephants around me, because even though you can see what's going on the screen, if I turn my head too far left or too far right, everything is just in complete darkness. So I would have to rely on listening out for the rest of the breeding herd, because the last thing you want to do is get stuck in the middle of one at night. But I think this elephant is on its own. Sometimes you can hear the elephant breathing, pulling up the grass. It's a very cool sound. But it might be just a little bit too far away. Ah, I heard another elephant. There is another one a little bit further away. But I heard it broke a twig or something, maybe off to the right. But I don't know if we'll see it. I think it's behind those shrubs. I like the sound of the crickets as well. All the different insects. Maybe even some katydids calling. No frogs though. And off that elephant goes. It's not a big elephant either. So maybe it is a sub-adult of whoever else is hiding away in the bushes. Look at all those veins. It's amazing how you can still see quite a bit of detail even with the infrared light. You can't see the wrinkles too much. You can see them a little bit on the skin, but the veins on the back of that elephant's ear, you can see them very, very clearly. Ravinda, you said you can hear the twitch of that branch. Well, that's good. That's good news. Yeah, that elephant sort of blowing dust around as well. What's on, Craig? And you might be able to hear the subtle sounds of bloop, 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 bloop. Lots of different sounds. Even the ears whacking back against its body, you can hear that, but it's very, very subtle. I don't know if that you'll be able to pick up. I'm surprised as to how relaxed this elephant is. I mean, like I said, we sort of surprised it. Even though we were driving really slowly, maybe that was the saving grace, is that we were going so slowly. I thought it would have just run away. Craig, are you enjoying yourself back there? Craig's finding this sighting now amusing. Carol, I think if I were to shout as loud as I could now, this elephant would probably be a bit spooked by my voice at night. But, no, I mean, they can still hear us. I think they still know it's us. They hear the vehicle. They probably smell the petrol or the diesel, depending what the vehicle runs on. They pick up on owl smells, I think, fairly quickly. The sound of the vehicle they can hear from a very, very long way. And if it's me talking, then they can also hear me coming from a long way away, too. So they're alright. Some animals are a little bit more nervous than others. Maybe it's the same, like with humans. Some of us are more afraid of the dark than others. Maybe you get some animals like that too. It must be very daunting. We just saw an impala ram on Impala Plains, all by himself, holding his spot. And I said to Craig, I'd be terrified if I was at Impala. And, you know, it's one thing living in a herd where you've got people to watch your back, but standing out on your own, whew, I'd be very, very nervous. I thought that elephant was going to push that silver cluster leaf tree over, but that's not the case. It has survived the evening, although I shouldn't speak too soon. Hello, little Pradeep. So great to hear from you. Sorry I didn't get to show you the squirrel today. But, I wouldn't say elephants are more dangerous at night, Pradeep. I think because they can't see as well at night as they can during the day, they might be a little bit more nervous. So maybe they will react worse than they would during the day because they, you know, maybe didn't see you coming. They could just hear you coming. You know how that is, trying to walk around in the dark and then you're not sure what's around the corner. I get like that. So you just got to be a little bit more careful, which is why we normally give the elephants a bit more space, why we don't put the spotlight on them because they don't like that. That upsets them, or any of the animals at night. And predators, of course, become different creatures at night time. It's their time to come alive. Very cool. But as this elephant walks off and makes space next to the road so we can pass, we shall move on too, and off you go to Tristan.
These lions, they are giving me the runaround right now. So they are sitting in just about the worst spot possible right now. As I did mention, we are in a no off-roading zone, and they are sitting in between pretty much all of the tracks. So they are the furthest distance from about any good viewpoint that we have of them right now. So I can still see them, but unfortunately I can't show them to you, and I can't get close to them to really follow along. So just, I feel like a bit of a radio host right now. I'm just going to have to describe everything, but they are probably about 300 meters, so about 900 feet from me right now, and they are moving in this direction. And the track that I am on goes in that direction. It does come back around, but it's more down this way. So maybe if I go back to one of the main roads, I might be able to intercept them. Oh yeah, they are kind of moving more in that direction now, so I'm going to go around and hopefully just kind of be in their trajectory. They've changed directions a couple of times, but they sort of have a general way that they are heading. So I'm definitely think they are in hunting mode now. I think that will be the purpose of what they are doing at the moment. Penguin on Safari wants to know if young male lions will assist in the hunt. Yes, they will. So they'll actually sort of be taught as well by the lionesses in the pride, so they will help pass on knowledge. But as we do know that older male lions will tend to spend less of their energy hunting and more of their energy kind of asserting their dominance and holding their territory, because they can get a feed off the females if they do make a successful hunt. They can kind of just come in and claim some of it for their own. But when they are younger, they're not great hunters, but yes, they will be involved in some hunts. Excuse me, sorry. Ugh. So now they are even out of the reach of my torch as I come around. So I'm just gonna have to make up some distance as I come around. Oh, this is real tricky stuff. I'm hoping that we are rewarded for it anyway. So hopefully some stage during the night something does happen. But unfortunately for us, we are out of time for this drive. So I am going to stay kind of with these lions tonight, and hopefully we can get some footage of some action so you can all be caught up. Thank you to Bongay for keeping up and helping me tonight. Thank you to Taylor and Tristan down in Juma. I hope you really enjoyed your drive with them. And I also hope you enjoyed your drive with me, because I most certainly did. Don't forget, if this wasn't enough, there is more coming your way all week, all year, all life. We will continue to broadcast, but the next one is tomorrow morning at 5:30 Central African time. Hope to see you all then. Enjoy the rest of your night or morning, wherever you are in the world.